Welcome back to some Saturday Ironheart Merchant Company, Session 46, A Fortress of Carmon, Part 4. God, I've said the Fortress of Cameron so many times in reading that the last 2 days as I've been updating this. Last time we left off, the party had managed to come back to the end of their fight with the Hydras, having managed to, in the one session even further back, defeat a large 10-headed Hydra, and then discovering that the creature had been not only guarding a hole, but as the party would find out, was guarding a den full of mating male Hydras, with a rare female albino Lenian Hydra. With that, the party made quick work as Rolliman went in, starting to stab his way through, killing all the normal 5-headed Hydras as he could, going from invisibility to begging for them to hit him so he could watch as they would get basically skewered upon his cloak. With a mix of invisibility and a few waves of his sword, a red mist being nothing that was, or all that was left of these poor creatures as time would go on. However, on the other side of the fight, unfortunate to Ned and to Cinder's own dismay as watching this, the party or the casters would find themselves attacked and harassed by the bats. Though Cinder, thankfully, expecting something of the sort, camouflaging quickly to avoid the creatures, Ned would find himself a large and enticing target for the creatures as a normal concept for their prey. Unfortunately, this would see. I keep saying Ned, don't I? Melvin. My apologies. Ned is on Sunday. Man, if that hit Ned, that would have been a game over for the poor guy. Still got the crap in King's End thing in my mind. For those who are watching this, hopefully you watch Sunday. But yeah, sorry. My apologies. Replace the Ned with Melvin. Melvin having managed to turn himself into a frost giant, climbing up the wall and then getting basically demolished by these warbats one after another. Finally, between the party and Melvin's irritation, the creatures would be incinerated and killed off, finally keeping them from managing to get Ned down for a third time. The party would make short work of the rest of the encounter and managing to make, with a quick thought and a decent enough check, managing to avoid the large herd of evil unicorns that were coming their way. With that, the party decided to clean up the gut and cut down all what was left of the Hydras that Rolliman had kindly diced apart to make sure they were ineffective. After signing or getting the last little bit of information on the Knights of Tempelis, the two parties would begin heading back. Though not without a few temptations that the party had no interest in getting involved with, such as a poor innocent child being suddenly spotted in the Underdark roads and being devoured by a couple of hounds. But as the party would return back to the Guild of Roars, we return back in the year 65,008, the month of the crowning, or November. I do apologize, James. I told you it was October. It is November, actually. And the 25th. So I just realized James's plans are going to be even more justified. Yeah, my bad, Nate. That's on me. I'll give you a free success on the use magic device because I screwed that up. No, that's on me. I will come back for that. But we return back to the party having spent the night after having traveled through the Underdark at a pretty breakneck speed to get back in a decent amount of time. The party returned to Echoes of the Underdark to meet with Roar and really rest up and get some relaxation for the night after the long fight. Sore muscles and all, though I think most of the party didn't take much damage. In fact, I think the only one who did actually take any permanent damage was Melvin.
I took some heavy damage too from them.
Oh, that's right. One of the yes, I forgot. When the bats hit you, they actually did manage to get through your AC like twice. That's right, because of the crits. Yes. Oh God, my luck was good last time. But yes, we returned back. Oh, good.
Oh, you little asshole! Fucking bitey little assholes.
Little is not. Those things were bigger than you. But we returned back to you all kind of coming down or kind of coming together in your room. I imagine in James's room. It is morning. the night for the ball is tonight. Really already having been invited, James, kind of looking at your calendar and seeing that one of your crewmates had switched the months out with the calendar. Not, and just as you kind of looking at as you're enjoying breakfast around the table with your compatriots, the realization sets in that you have less than a month to get back to, or get over to the Genasi lands.
Fuck.
Is there an issue?
Well, we have to be in the Genasi lands by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. It's
Gestures to the calendar.
As you look over at the calendar, Rollman, you see as James kind of like lifts it up and then like puts the page down again, and you realize someone flipped the names of the months.
Ah, I see. Well then.
So we're gonna go to this ball. Cinder, I'm gonna ask you to do something very nice for us all. See if your date will be interested in allowing me to invest in her shop. So we can have a foot in the door without having to purchase land here right now. And then we have to skedaddle skadoodle and get the fuck out of here.
Cinder kind of looking up from his thickened stew of what looks to be some sort of underdark cod that someone caught mixed with a bit of a darker blackened sauce that has a light, almost like a tartar sauce-like taste to it. Snow eat happily on the ground, chowing away at a bowl of the similar dish.
Cinder blinks at James, incredulous that he's trusting me, of all people, to talk business with somebody. And looks and makes sure he is actually talking to me. Like, I look down, I look back at James.
I look you dead in the eye. If you don't want to, I will try to after the party before we leave.
Yeah, but we saw how she didn't really like you there, James.
I got a restart thanks to this entire situation. It's fine. I don't expect to do over often. I think I got one in this instance.
I will also note, James, as you look on the on the side of your dresser, there's a little note from Melvin that just simply reads, "Gone back to class. Have a couple of new students. Hoping to make more money. Be back soon."
You know what? In James's mind, he works for Zebril. Zebril can teleport shit. Zebril will know where we are. He's fine.
Oh, I mean, as you think back for a second, James, Melvin's classes are typically like a whole day subject. In theory, in your mind, you should be able to go find him pretty easily after the ball and be able to go pick him up and just bring him back to the ship. Or if just leave a note for him to return to the ship after he's done with his classes.
That's fine, because before we leave as well, I'd like to see if Roar would like to take any of the... As I look to the pile of weapons that Hammer and Forge have just been building up. See if Roar would like to take these to give to any new adventurers that seem to show up. Their shoddy gear is sad.
Mm. Well, how much time we have before the ball? It's today, correct?
It's today. And I do believe we're supposed to meet up in the evening.
Roughly from what you, James, have heard around town, there is two parties going on. A massive ball that is being held in the castle, which is mostly the nobles, minor nobles, and some of the more wealthy merchants kind of coming through, as well as some world leaders who are supposedly stopping by. And then there is what is called the city celebration, which means a lot of the taverns and such will be running or hosting massive parties and such like that to celebrate the same event.
I know which one I'd rather be in. Roman just numbers.
And I know which one we're going to.
One thing I will try to find before the ball is a similar ring to what Rollman has there. As I don't want to go without looks at armor that I sleep in now.
Yeah, you might want to clean your armor there, James. When was the last time you did that?
It stays clean.
I will say, to the note, while James does daily cast prestidigitation on himself and kind of offers similar services amongst the rest of you, for those who can't cast, of course, it has been quite a while since any of you have actually had a proper bath or And I'm not saying like you smell, but the relaxation, the enjoyment of it. That I think I believe the last time you would have had one was roughly about a year ago when you were in Utham's lands. So.
I'm gonna start opening bathhouses, I swear to God.
You think I don't relaxingly bathe in ice cold rivers that I can make ice cold myself? Ice cold is-
Cinder
doesn't
just
smell like the rainbow,
disappearing. No, Cinder smells like fish most days, but at least a clean fish. You know, that's the good news.
Yeah.
Look,
Well, river
I'm
fish.
a druid. I can smell like whatever I want at any given time.
It's true. It's true.
What do you want to hit the bathhouse before the ball?
Yeah, it'd probably be a good idea.
All right, we can try and find you a ring. If not, I'll be close by. So if you ever get assassinated, then I'll be there. Don't worry. It's kind of my job to not let that happen.
But as you kind of sit around eating your breakfast, kind of enjoying yourselves for a few moments, you do hear a sudden kind of light knock at your door, as well as the words echoing through the door of, "James, it's me, Tempelus. Are you available?"
Hi. Come on in.
And turns the door and walks in and goes, "Hi." As you see him kind of in his very simple clothing, something immediately catches your attention, James. Other than a slight notice of every once in a while features of him changing, his skin looks to be a bit more reddish, and you notice there's a lot more similarities of elvish features amongst his skin that you kind of catch. His ears are a bit more pointed. His eyes seem to be a bit more greenish and more cat-like. Kind of a few things that seem to be a little different than usual.
I am immediately on edge because slight changes like that usually means the fucking Morin.
That is a fair
It's not
point.
Jakix.
You can give me a sense. You can give me a sense motive if you'd like.
It's not Jakix. It's
Is
most likely the other one, even if it is one at all.
I almost rolled a D4. I almost rolled 4D120s, goddamn.
I will say, Tempelus did just send me their eye color and confirmed it is forest green. I do apologize, specifically. 12. They do not seem to be hostile and don't seem to have any hostility towards you at all.
What do you need, Tempelus?
And kind of looks at you and goes, I've come with the payment. We were able to get everything sorted last night, and I figured we'd pay you before we continued on our quest. Our group is going deeper into the Underdark to do some research and exploration. But we were able to get everything sent out through a contact of ours, and so as he kind of like pulls out a large bag of coin, not a bag of coining, but a large bag that immediately, as he tugs it out of his bag of the Juggernaut on his hip, it drops to the ground at his feet as he like lets it go and goes, "That is 750,000 gold pieces. That is a lot of weight."
Oh god. Pick it up and slowly dump it into my bag of coining.
Who is the buyer, when I ask?
Regan Utham, one of his contacts. We have a few frost giants we've met along our travels. A group knew an individual named Roten, I think was his name. He was in the news recently. I think he was noted to have passed away, but I think that's more of a cover-up than anything.
Thinks back. Roten wasn't there when we left. He might be dead.
But
True. Since we were there firsthand, do we know if like Croton actually died or any additional information?
you guys left after the war. Yeah, because you helped out during the war. Yeah,
We
you would
helped
know.
out during the very end.
You would know Roten was it was actually slain, although his body was not recovered.
It's possible to be a cover-up, but
It's
Who knows?
unlikely. It was even announced by around the city that he was dead.
Tempelus nods at that and goes, "That's yeah. Well, it's not my business on it. I just know that there's a bunch of mercenaries that basically Regan Utham hired a while back, and now they all act as information networks for him. So, good way to get paid on the side when you need it. I must ask though, are you lot going to the ball in town today? The one at the actual noble's estate?"
Yes, I believe so.
Nods and goes, "I should warn, there's going to be an individual there you're going to probably want to avoid. A older woman, by the name of Ball, Baal. Um, she's quite tall, very actually looks a lot like your friend here as he like motions towards Roloman. Um, a bit more dainty though, and she's quite magically capable. Our party's had some run-ins with her, and while she is a kind individual, I don't recommend dealing with her. She's got something on her person that lets her basically redo whatever happens. I don't know what it is, but it's caught us off guard a few times. So, I'd avoid it, or any dealing with her. I only found out she's in town because of her the amount of magic she puts off is hard to miss.
Interesting.
Thank you for the heads up, then.
He nods and goes, if she starts toying with the rings on her fingers, escape as quick as you can. Those things are where she keeps most of her magic power. That's, and he kind of looks about you all and goes, about all I can really tell you beyond that. Otherwise, I'd be afraid she might figure out what I'm up to.
Okay.
But,
Thanks for the information.
Oh, okay. Tim Pellis kind of looks at you a lot and kind of nods and goes, "Right, with that, money's pain. I do appreciate doing business with you. And again, if you're ever in the mind of changing your opinion and your stance on games going on in the world, I'd very much be happy to welcome you amongst our ranks, dear James." As he smiles at you.
I'll smile like, and if you find any interesting monster parts that you need made into something, my business is open.
He nods and smiles at that and kind of stands and goes, "Well, we're off to go and hunt down a tree. Have a good luck."
Word of warning, that tree is gonna be really fucking weird.
What's not in the Underdark? At this point, we've learned our lessons with monsters. Nothing's normal, nothing's as it's expected, and everyone's an idiot. As he kind of stands and kind of looks about you a lot and goes, "I do appreciate it, though." As he turns and like sees himself out, shutting the door behind him. Yes?
Let's see, before Cinder just wants to ask, am I still making your weird charisma item or no?
And looks back at you and goes, "You're the one crafting it?"
I'm the wondrous item crafter on the ship.
Looks back over at James with a slight disdain in his eyes.
James will just nod slowly.
You know, it is usually a common courtesy to warn when you're speaking ill of someone right in front of them without knowing it. He looks at James
One
and
just
goes,
learns to not speak ill of people in general.
Politeness would be a better way to go about it.
You see a bit of a look in his eyes that kind of flashes for a moment, but
Good way to
disappears just as quickly.
determine how someone thinks.
Duly noted. I think I will chance my item elsewhere. As it kind of turns and starts to walk out.
That must have been a little bit of a hard lesson for him. That'll be fun.
As he closes the door behind him, he heading off. You hear him kind of step away as the light footsteps kind of vanish after a few moments.
I looked to Cinder with just a smile.
Did you enjoy that, Cinder?
Yes.
Understand. All right. Well, we best hit the town before we run out of time, huh?
Yes, it seems we'll be walking around town, and Melvin looks like he's going to be hosting a class today.
What does he teach? Yeah, I didn't know he was.
I'll pull out one of the flyers that I probably would have picked up from it. Trap making for the individuals going into the Underdark.
Interesting. I didn't know he could make traps.
Yes, he can. I think the only one out of us that is better than him at it is Cinder.
He'll probably teach better, though. I don't do it often.
I feel like he'd be a very different teacher than Melvin.
Well, a bad trap can get you killed. So.
I was thinking more along the lines. You make the kids test the traps on themselves.
A dumb trap can get you to kill everybody around you.
Oh, and make him test on animals.
All right.
Wild animals, like boars.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
But, uh, Uncle, do you have something to wear for the date, or do we need to pick something up for you as well?
I have something. You'll see.
All right, but we will be leaving either late tonight or first thing in the morning.
All right.
do you just give him the talk of the?
Was this like I was gonna
I just
say?
give, I
Was
just
this?
give James a
This
look.
is his warning that
Is that
to
does
be
he?
on the boat.
Did you just give
This
him
man
a?
is older than you, James.
Yeah, what do you call it?
As James looks between Rollman and Cinder.
Are you saying we're not responsible?
Man's acting like a parent telling him when to come back for a date. What do you call that? What's that? Oh, what's the term? Oh,
Helicopter parent.
no, there's a term for it, like when you that, like to have him back for before. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it don't matter. But as you kind of start, James kind of starts going through with Cinder in the background, or Cinder trying to walk him through the basics of like, okay, so we're gonna be leaving at this point, so you need this amount of time to get from here. This is what it's gonna take. Cinder completely off in space, thinking about something else.
I wonder what I can do with more ice.
Dude,
that's...
Cinder is literally plotting the whole event and how he can make this not a failure while James is talking.
Damn. All right, James, stop pestering him. We gotta go.
Yes, we need to go and pick up some things. As James will grab a small bag where he keeps his merchant's attire, his noble merchant's attire, and pop into his bag of holding for now, because he's going to need that for the Ring of Arming as well.
How much money are you taking?
I have the bag of coining stowed away, so
You
I
want
can
to take all of the money? That sounds like a great idea.
Listen, it's not where someone would think a coin purse is. What's hanging where the coin purse is the very dangerous bag of stank.
Take 200k. I'll take any more than that.
But I do have multiple bags of coining at this point because I've gotten one from a few people.
Take 200k.
I'll bring 250 just to be safe.
Check your things before you enter. Does that mean someone's gonna open your stink bag?
That'll be left on the. That'll be.
Maybe don't bring that to the ball. That's a great way to ruin a night. We'll stop off before we actually go then. Off we go.
Yep. One sec.
James will actually take out the bag of coin that has the majority of the money and just take 250,000.
There we go. Sorry, Cinder was gathering information about some flowers in the background for his date.
Oh, how kind.
So I was typing something out for him for his notes. As you kind of finish up the last of your dish, drink up the last of what you ordered, picking yourselves up, gathering up your equipment as you can, heading towards the door as you walk out. Heading out to the main guild itself, the Echoes of the Underdark Roar seems to be kind of sitting at his bar. It's early in the morning and there looks to be no one in the guild as he's just kind of sitting on a chair, his gut hanging far over, almost causing him to lean forward, and you can see the little stool he's sitting on is flexing with him. At this point, there's been a betting pool going on when that thing's going to crack, and it has yet to after many years, as you notice. But as you pass by, he kind of smiles at you. His the few teeth in his mouth that seem to show glimmer with their bright yellowness as he looks over and goes, "Oh, James, my boy, what can I do for you?"
Not much, Roar. Just we'll be heading out now. Although I do have some information to report to you about the Oats Hounds.
He nods and goes,
They're getting bigger.
Well, I mean, no one's going down. They had a couple of kids take up the quest thinking they had something of them, a couple of little elven boys. Well, shoot. I thought the little ones had promise. They had little knives that were worth value. You know, they had some skill. They talked a pretty good game. Yeah. Oh, man. Always the young ones that go first.
We saw one of them from a distance away. We couldn't save them. There was no way for us to get to there in time. But get torn apart by oat hounds that were roughly 2 to 3 times larger than the average reported one.
Ah, crap. That means Ogren's gonna be angry. Oh, I'm gonna have to deal with that later. Goddamn adventuring unions. Alright. He nods and goes, I'll add that to my report and send that up to a bun. I mean, I don't issue the reward for him, but make sure it's noted at the very least.
Yes, also I'd make a point of noting that if they're getting that big, that means they have a good amount of excess supplies if they're able to feed that much.
No, it's we've been sending mining patrols that direction for the last couple weeks. We've been losing most of them, so I'm guessing those things are eating well off what we're sending. Plus, there's been a big rush of adventurers coming through the territory as of recent. Since there's so many rumors of war coming soon, they're all looking for mercenary work, and, as you can imagine, it means no end of cocky fools getting eaten.
Yes, especially with what the gear I've seen them carrying.
It's even worse. Some of these kids go down there with one magic item that you think, God, you could sell that and you'd never have to work a day in your life again. Your family's never gonna have to work a day in their life again. But instead, they're going down there losing it, and I'm betting that's what's making those damn hounds so much bigger.
Possibly. On the note of the gear that the adventurers around here are carrying, would you be interested in weapons that you could sell off to them as they go?
I mean,
non-magical, sturdy.
Most of what we do here is mercenary contracting and scouting, but I can get you in contact with someone who will buy this stuff and move it around for you.
If you can do that within the day, I'd be appreciative.
Day? How much are you looking to sell all your stuff for?
Around market value.
Okay, what do you got?
I'd have a variety. I'd have basically a variety of the weapons, masterwork made.
Assorted masterwork weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Hammer and Forge can produce what? How many a week would it calculate it out to?
Depends on what their skill check is.
Yeah, I don't know what they make without rolling. You never had them roll for it.
Well, yeah, whatever their bonus is would tell you it. So if they were level 1, that means that most they can have what, +5, right?
It's 4 ranks. They have a +3 to the stat, so overall they have a +7. To smithing.
And to make a +1 masterwork item, that would take about probably 2 weeks for every single item. On average. So you're looking at, you traveled for about a year, so give me a second. So that's 5 weeks times 12, that's 60, divide by 2, or no.
Times 2.
Thank you. So it puts about 120 items roughly, and Masterworks can pretty much offer on average for weapons between 100 to 500, I think it is off the top of my head. Let me look.
Yeah.
Let me check my website.
Added to the price.
There we go. All right. For weapons at +1, it's 2,000 gold pieces flat. So you're looking at anywhere between 2,300 at the cheapest to about 2,600, because quarterstaffs are hugely costly for weapon cost. So basically, averaging that out to about 2,300 an item. Give me a second. At market value, that puts you about 276,000 gold pieces.
About 276,000 gold pieces of assorted masterwork weapons.
Looks at you and just kind of nods and goes, and you're looking to sell it market, or are you looking to sell it a rise up?
I'll sell these at market.
276.
276.
Kind of thinks for a second and goes, tell you what, I'll buy it all. Half of it, I want it half price, because half of it I'm gonna gift to the leader of the at the ball tonight. The other half I'll sell, and I'll give you whatever I profit off of it, or give you 50% of whatever I profit on it.
I think that's acceptable. This is a large bulk order.
He kind of looks at you and nods, and then goes, so that would be, as he pulls out my 69,000, 207,000 gold pieces out from underneath in a what looks to be or sounds like a heavy metal box that he kind of drags out from underneath his bar. He leans over. What looks to be a little fly escaping from the plumber's crack that is now clearly visible because as large as he is up front, he is in the back. As he leans down, the sounds of the the stool he's sitting on kind of curling and the sounds of the wood stretching and cracking in the background. But as he pulls it out, kind of sets the gold onto the counter and goes, have it delivered to me before tonight, and I'll have everything taken care of.
Will do. He paid me how much?
207,000 gold pieces.
207,000?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Were there any watchful eyes during this?
There's no one else in the building, from what you can tell. But even his, what would normally be his staff that kind of hands out meals and works the drinks seem to be gone this early. From what you can tell, yeah, I was gonna say you can tell this guild probably isn't open before a certain hour in the day.
I'll pop that money into the bag of coining to drop off once we get back to the ship, and I'll nod. I'll see if the rough bloods will bring it right over.
He nods and goes, just make sure you get here before the night of the ball or tonight's ball. That'll make a lot of my work easier.
Will do. Pleasure doing business with you, Ron.
Yep. You all have fun in town, and if you run into any issues, let them know that you're staying here at the Echoes of the Underdark.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any suggestions? James here would like one of these rings. Have you ever seen them before? No. Show him the Ring of Arming.
He looks down at it and goes, oh yeah! Actually, there's a shop that sells a lot of this stuff. He kind of thinks for a second. Most of it's rare locations within the Underdark, but it's called the Deep Threads. Recently, they ran by a guy. Yeah, no, it was a dude. His name's Trigiv. Trustworthy, nice guy. Problem is, though, he got bought out. Shoot, I think day after you guys left for the Underdark was when he got taken over. He's got a large bit of the items, though. If I was gonna bet, he'd be the one who'd probably have it if whoever bought him up didn't take all the choice items. But yeah, Deep Threads about 4 blocks down the street. Pretty tall-looking building. A bunch of bookshelves in the window, and with adventuring gear on it, pretty easy to spot.
All right, thanks for the recommendation.
He nods.
We got a starting place. Let's go.
Alright. As you three head out into the streets, the town kind of quiet as a few parties seem to be kind of heading off towards the Underdark roads. Some merchants kind of getting ready to set up shops and stalls in those roads, but otherwise the normal hustle and bustle you're used to in most towns in the morning seems to almost be absent, as even these small businesses don't seem to be open at this hour. And as you kind of look around, it seems almost as if many of the businesses themselves, like the inns and such, seem to be closed. It only being about 8 a.m. as you look up, seeing the cloudy, dark skies and seeing a little bit of light poking through.
Okay, we'll head over to the Deep Threads.
Right.
Yeah.
As the three of you kind of head further into the city, kind of following through the streets, being empty as it is, it seems almost kind of eerie as you kind of pass by, tumbleweed blowing past and one of the corners, bouncing off one of the barrels on this side of the street and seemingly disappearing behind a corner. As you lot kind of head over towards... as you guys head over towards the building, seeing the building quite easily catching your eye as it is massive, having large bookcases in the window that have a bunch of adventuring gear, like fancy armors, weapons that seem to all be polished and well used as you guys head over, but none seem to have sale prices on them. As you look about, there do look to be a bunch that seem to have, or a bunch of people walking around inside the shop that all seem to have a marking of or a giant T on their chest, made out of what looks to be a flamison. But as you kind of walk up to the door, opening it, seeing the large glass window with the words "The Deep Threads" painted onto it, or rather, sorry, engraved into it in gold, looking through as you walk in, a few stone giants kind of look over at you, look to be about roughly around teenage age, looking, kind of catching your attention immediately. But as they do, one of them getting ready to walk over towards you, a large fellow with what looks to be a large metal peg leg seems to step out from behind the counter, standing about 15 feet tall, which notably, as you kind of, or that catches your attention, this individual, let me just pull up my note here, is kind of short for a stone giant when you see this, but as he steps out, on the side of his belt, James, you see what looks to be a almost immediately recognizable as a masterwork flamison blade and holster or sheath. As the guy steps out, a heavy belt with the sheath on it. What looks to be on the other side, another dagger that's kind of slightly bejeweled. What looks to be around him, a leather jacket or a leather jerkin made of dragon scales. What you catch look to be blackened in color. His pants seem to be made of what looks to be a thick moss-like colored skin that almost reminds you slightly of a strange green giant you had seen so long ago. In your early days of adventuring.
Well, greeting. I'll look at it, appreciative, because it's well-made stuff.
As he smiles.
Hello there. I'm not gonna judge age at this point.
Sir.
He kind of looks at you and goes, "It's Trigrieve, or you can call me Trustworthy, but most people call me Old Trustworthy, even though I'm only few years older than Bun himself."
Oh, Trigrieve I'll go with. I think that seems more respectful.
It works better than Lord Trigrieve. Someone tried that earlier. That was a fun one. He kind of smiles at you at that.
I'm looking for a ring of arming if you happen to have one in stock.
Ring of arming. You know you're in a shop for giants, right? So, like, items are going to be kind of meant for giants.
Well, that's the thing about magic items. Sometimes they fit to the wearer.
Nods and goes, you're not wrong on that. But I would also like to note that most of our items are found and not easily gathered. So, it might cost you quite a pretty penny if you're looking for something like that.
I understand that, and I've come prepared to at least hear the price isn't a problem.
He nods and goes, "Do you have a particular material you want it made out of, or what level of the Underdark you're looking for ability, or rather a price range that you're willing to pay? Because honestly, I have items of great power and great and lesser power depending on what you're looking at."
We went over this before. A ring of arming around here would cost me between 60 and 100,000. At most.
Potentially.
For just a basic ring of arming. So I'll go with that. Ring of arming valued between 60 and 100,000.
Oh, you aren't big on the paying attention to the market in these times, are you? The dragons are starting to move in, and there's a rumor that a war might kick off here soon. We've been losing items like this left and right getting picked up. Plus, some fella named Mr. Brightbee came through and bought up a half of my stock when he came in and took over my shop. Fucking. You hear a light grumble as he can.
How much did he pay for your shop?
1.2 million gold pieces and 2 mountain giant bones of masterful value.
I'm gonna slowly look to Cinder and Roland. Do I dare?
I don't care.
Your money.
Well then, what if someone were to come along and offer a price higher than what he did?
I didn't get much choice. He came in, bailed us out, paid my debtors off, and basically took over my debt. You'd have to talk to him about it. I'm kicking up 75% of my income to him. It's barely enough to keep the shop open, let alone convince people to go down into the Underdark and find me shit. I've been doing most of the work myself, and as he pats his metal peg leg, he goes, as you can imagine, that's a little bit dangerous for someone a little less mobile these days.
I'll nod. What about a separate investor then? Would you be interested in that?
Kind of looks at you and goes, what, you're gonna hand me a check and I go pay off my debt and I pay you?
Let me properly introduce myself. My name is James of the Ironheart Merchant Company.
Yeah, right. James of the Ironheart Merchant Company has a giant elf that's supposedly invincible and fights storm giants for breakfast, and a crazy dragon uncle that supposedly manages to breathe ice and create blizzards that wipe out towns. Yeah, you're James, right.
I just look at him. I look at my friends.
I looked at my two companions, Dragonhorn Uncle and Big Elf. Fucking yes, I am. And if you need proof, I'll turn my hammer on my back a little bit so he can see the insignia of the Ironheart Merchant Company.
Your chest plate also has a giant insignia.
And I'll
of the
gesture
company.
to
We
that
also
boat.
have like Ironheart insignia on our shit.
Just looks at you and goes, yeah, we had a gentleman come through claiming the same thing a few months ago. Tried to do, to come in here saying that he'd hand us a ton of coin if we just go and meet him at this supposed location, hand him off a bunch of items. I already fell for that once, and the bastard got away with 2 spell storing rings. I ain't doing it again.
I
Sounds like
will
maybe
still
we,
purchase the item up front that I'm asking for. And I will invest... Let's see, materials I have on hand as James thinks for a moment. You said Brightby brought you 2 storm giant bones.
No, mountain giant bones.
Mountain giant. Ah, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain giant bones. I can bring you in a couple more, along with some extra materials if you have crafters.
I mean, I have crafters. That's half of what this business is. We can't research these materials otherwise.
And along with, I can bring in some mountain giant skin.
Listen, I don't want to get involved in a trading war. Like I told Mr. Brightby, if you want a deal and buy it up from him, I'll work with whoever owns the business. I already lost everything the first time. My services are very much a gamble, so if you're looking for an investment, go talk to him.
I'll go deal with him then after this, but I'll still purchase the ring if you have one.
I have one, but it'll cost you around 250,000. It's the only one we got left in stock, and I don't imagine we're gonna find another one anytime soon with all these damn hounds in the Underdark.
Any curses on it?
No, that's the reason I'm charging so much for the damn thing. First one we found... No, you've got that kind of cash lying around.
James pulls out 250,000. Fucking...
Smiles
and
at
sets
you.
it down.
Takes it and goes, well, that makes you a preferred customer. Guy pulls the coin over and then takes out the little box that is just basically this encrusted in gems, little sapphires that seem to kind of almost create an ocean going out to kind of create a tranquil scene. As he opens the box, in the center it looks to be almost a silk-made cushion of infernal spider silk. And at the center of it is the ring with what looks to be a large ruby kind of on it that seems to glimmer. The ring itself is large, and the gemstone on it is slightly bigger. However, as it glimmers and glows, he kind of looks at Trigiv kind of looks at you and smiles and goes, "I should warn you, there's something in there. We just don't know what it is, and no one could get the damn thing to activate. So,
I will take it. I'll pick it up and...
Don't use
Do
it
you
right
have a
now.
place where we can step out back, say, to see if I can get the thing out of it?
shoot.
That way...
You want to use my workshop?" He just kind of looks over towards a curtained doorway and goes, "Right back there. Just don't smash any of my tools."
How about we don't?
If I smash a tool, I will replace it.
Maybe we don't use the experimental thing inside the building. Just do it like outside.
Well, I didn't want to hit anybody outside just on the off chance either, Grumpy. Going into the...
It's dead streets outside. It was already determined.
That is correct. As you look back outside the streets, it's still quiet. Like there's not
nobody
even
out there.
merchants
Okay,
shouting.
we'll
They're just
step
shutting up at this point.
outside then, and I'll activate the ring so it drops whatever it has in it.
Alright. As you go to kind of step outside, all of you, Traeger kind of smiles as he sees you kind of step away. Going back to talking to his co-workers, the young stone giants that were kind of working about moving some of the items, displaying them, getting them all kind of like set out. Now watches you step outside as the door opens, the little bell rings, and as you step out into the middle of the streets, no one seems to be around as you kind of take a quick cursory look around for a moment. There's one merchant about 20 or so blocks.
Wait, there's one merchant. Is it Bright Bee?
No, there's like one merchant like 20 or so blocks down the street that you can kind of see that looks to be setting up a few things, but he's a decent ways away as you look over at him. As you look about holding the ring in front of you, yeah, you've got at least a good half mile around you. No one seems to be standing by.
I'll look
James,
to roll and be
you
ready
sure you
in
want me to
case it's
test
a
it?
mimic.
How about I test it?
If you'd rather, I'll hand it off to him.
Okay. I take off my other ring of arming.
Alright.
My bag of holding. And we'll use the new one.
Okay, as you put it on, how are you going to activate it? Because your normal one just seems to respond to you. This one does not seem to naturally just respond to your will.
I don't know. Is there anything written on it?
As you look it over, the word, or there seems to be a word written in Giant. Do you speak Giant by chance?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. You read the word Swift.
Okay, I will say Swift and Giant.
As you do, out appears a full set of blue armor with two large and very MMORPG concept here. Breast armor chunks envelop around you as you find yourself wearing what looks to be female leather armor or armored leather made for a female. The patterns on it seem to be lightning bolts that seem to adorn this very fine and blue linen leather. The little bits of it you start to feel electricity slightly tingling through your skin, Rollerman.
Interesting. I'll take the armor off.
As and send it back into the ring, or just trying to strip it off. As you try to take off the jerkin, it does not seem to attach. As you go to pull the thread that seems to kind of wrapped around a little iron bolt or bronze little nub, pulling it off, it seems to almost immediately reattach itself almost magically.
Interesting.
Can I check this armor, see if it's cursed while it's unrolled?
How would you like to check if it's cursed?
Knowledge.
Take a knowledge
Arcana?
arcana. Sure.
Or would spellcraft be more applicable in this instance?
Spellcraft would be if you want to try and see if there's a spell on or what the spells are on this item, but that will not necessarily tell you if it's cursed, because if this curse isn't related to a spell, it will not come off. Knowledge Arcana will tell you if there is a markings on there that look to be ancient or mysterious or seem to kind of catch your attention that don't look to be something you know, and that could also identify as a curse.
Alright, I'll also burn a spell to burn Divine Insight to make this better.
Okay. Yeah, curses are a pain in 3.5.
28.
Alright. As you look over this item... What the fuck? Oh, it's children. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? I heard screaming there for a second. You see, or you recognize on this item the spells of... Let me pull it up. Charge? Or, wait, what? No. My apologies, hold up. It's a new item. Oh, here we go. Sorry, you recognize the spell Shocking Grasp on this item, as well as sense the aura of Moderate Evocation. However, as you look over the symbols, you do see something that seems to be strange on the side of the armor. As you look at a marking on it, it looks to be written in Abyssal. However, it looks to be a lot more modernized, as you kind of notice. It's mixed with Giant, and as you read over it, taking a look, what you read is something along the lines in Giant that means worn for the true love. Although you're pretty sure that is a rough and mistranslation, that is the closest you're able to get of the bits of Giant you see in there. Otherwise, does not seem to be cursed. And as you look Roland over, he doesn't seem to be caught or have any ill effects upon him.
All right. So you can't take it off?
Nope.
Interesting. Now this has some modernized mixed abyssal written on it as well.
Interesting.
Give me a moment as James will cast Identify on the armor, which will tell him how to properly use it.
Give me a second, because I always mix this spell up with another one when I'm looking up things. Okay.
I pull some wine and a pearl and an owl feather out of my pack and chug.
As you grind those down to the pestle for a few moments, looking about, Roland just kind of standing there, modeling the armor, a stone giant walking by, looking at this weird scene, really, of Cinder, the crazy dude with a little nub sticking out of his head, looking the most normal of you all. James staring at Roland, who looks like he's dressed slightly in drag, and looking like he's making some drink while he's staring at Roland, which, to be honest, is just, and Roland, who I imagine just doesn't look comfortable, not bothered, but just not comfortable.
I'm just interested in.
Dude, Cinder's wondering, I'll find flowers.
As Cinder starts to walk away, James, as the spell goes off. So, to confirm, this item has a total of 3 charges per day. The item is activated on the word or command of Swift, which means it will go into the ring or it will come out upon activation. There is a second activation code called Lightning, which basically casts up to 3 charges of Shocking Grasp that do about up to 46 points of electricity damage. However, this item is also noted to have something strange about it. As you note, there is a bit of magic that catches your attention. It is not its aura being moderate evocation. It also seems to come off as overwhelming transmutation. However, there is no other spells that catch your attention on this item.
Is there any? Did I learn anything about how to take it off and separate the ring from?
It seems to just be put on and off by the command word Swift in Giant. However, it will go back into the ring. It seems to auto store into the ring.
All right. So they're a linked set of items. Is there extra space in the ring for something to be stored?
You didn't cast Identify on the ring. You cast Identify on the armor.
Oh, great. I'm glad I make this by the bottle. I'll take another swig and fucking tap the ring.
Just to be the dick of to James. As James takes another few moments to kind of put this together, or another hour to put this together. Roland,
it doesn't take hours.
It does. It is Identify is casting time 1 hour.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yep.
Well,
so it's going to take you another hour.
We'll walk and do this.
Well, technically, you gotta sit there and make the drink, because you've gotta grind things down with a pedestal. I don't know if you've ever tried to do all that with, or pedal and stool. Well, I don't know if you've ever tried to do all that while walking. It's not easy. As well as doing it in full armor on top of that, and you want Roland to walk around town dressed like this?
Roland, I'll stop the casting before. I'll just stop and go. We can identify the ring later. You can put it back in for now. Just say the word again, and we'll return.
I assume that's how it'd work. I just didn't know if you were done or not. Also slept in Giant again.
As you do, the armor returns, and your gear comes back on.
It's interesting. I recommend not using those, James. I think you have to go without your armor to the ball.
I refuse. I will find a way.
Stubborn, but all right.
Well, we have what I needed today, and Cinder has gone off. I think he was muttering something about flowers before, so...
As you look down the street and see Cinder admiring a couple of stands that are being set up by some merchants that are starting to set out flowers and other plants.
Should we get flowers as well?
What is proper stone giant etiquette?
That's why I'm asking Rollman.
It's funny you mention that. Roll me a knowledge local if you have it, or an intelligence check.
In the background, I rolled a 29 knowledge local. That's why I'm going off and getting flowers.
Oh, there we go. I will note, to Cinder's knowledge, one of those flowers you have... Oh, no, never mind. That was Death's Grace. Never mind. That's a different flower.
24.
We have the second one. I want to see if I can find the first one.
24. Yes, so it is traditional to bring flowers to your understanding, Rollerman. Typically, blessings of God are a more noted, finer flower, and typically considered a kindness to give to your host. However, you're not sure why off the top of your head you note that's more the common one you see. Or rather, sorry, the more common one you've seen amongst nobility and wealthy merchants that are trying to, hit on local bar girls and such like that. Beyond that, as you kind of think about it, flowers in general, the more valuable and rare they are, the more your emotions are kind of shown. So kind of coming into that mentality as you think about it, something like rosmium or plemlium or lesmium would be quite expensive and would be looked on fondly as well. However, common flowers would not be disdained. It would just show more of a lack of interest.
Probably go with some normal flowers. Is pretty traditional since we're going on a blind date, James.
We'll pick those up on the way then. We'll head back to the ship so we can get arranged, hopefully, and then...
As James and Roman begin to turn and start heading down the street towards the ship. All right, we'll jump over.
Well, no, we're picking up the flowers first.
Oh, you are? Okay.
We'll order Cinder.
All right. We'll go. What was it, Roman? Sorry.
I said we'll go over to where Cinder is.
Okay. Heading over towards where you see Cinder, as you kind of see the merchant finally setting down the last of their potted flowers. They smile over at you and go, in full giant, go, all right, this is what I've got. Rosmium, plemliums, lesmiums, blessings, death's grace, you name it, I have it. What are you looking for?
What does he have a price? I'm assuming not. I have a date tonight. Rosmium and blessings would be great. Depends on how much you're selling for.
Nods and goes, well, tell you, gold piece apiece is typically a common expectation. Plemlium will cost you around 5. The blessings, this is quite rare material to find. I'd say 9 gold pieces per flower would be a fair price. If you're wanting a bouquet, I'll give you one for 80 gold pieces.
How much would he charge me for like a half bouquet, like the inner ring being blessings and the outer ring being rosmium?
I'll accept that and goes, I'll give you it for 50 gold pieces. That'll cover both of it for on my end, as he kind of thinks for a second.
I'll hand him 55.
He takes it and smiles and goes, all right, as he looks at James and Rollman kind of walking up. Blessings and some rosmium for the young man. Are these your dates? As he looks over at the other two.
Cinder just laughs. No. These are my associates.
He nods and goes, well, I hope your associates are also here to buy more flowers. I I'm always happy to sell a bouquet to anyone going to a ball or looking to court some of the lovely ladies around town. As he kind of hands down the bouquet to Cinder. Cinder is immaculately put together. There is not a petal out of place. He's even put a little bit of spritzing of water onto it to give it a bit more of a glimmer, and you watch as the blessings of God give a bit of a white light glimmer off of them.
Yes, we'll also be going on some dates. It'll be blind dates, so you have any suggestions, good sir?
Are you hoping to make a good impression, and are they nobility?
Or do we have information? I don't think they're nobility, are they?
You were never told.
We were never told. We do not know.
Oh, well.
The woman personally knows Bun, and it's her sisters.
Okay.
Probably
High merchant, possible nobility is what we'll go with then.
He nods and goes, well, let's see. You looking to be serious with these lot, or is this more just fun and hopefully things turn out?
I look to James. What does he want from this?
I got roped into this. I looked at Cinder.
I'm being serious with my day. I don't know what you do.
Roland, what do you suggest? You've done this more than me.
Well,
James looks very bashful as you look at Roman. He is like his cheeks are lightly red.
Well, James, as it's the first time meeting them, and you don't even know what they are, who they are, I'd probably go with the more fun route rather than serious.
More fun and friendly, then.
Alright, so some common, something flowery, pretty, smells good. Always a good save on that. He kind of smiles at that and goes, 5 gold pieces for a bouquet for both of you. They won't impress anyone, but they'll get the intent across that they're pretty, and it's what it's kind of expected.
Of course, I'll pay up 10 gold pieces.
I was gonna hand him 10 as
No.
well. But
he kind of hands you the bouquet after a few moments, preparing it. Very pretty, very brightly colored, as there look to be a lot of very beautiful specimens in here, mixed flowers. But none of them really kind of stick out as like a main piece, and it doesn't stick out as something that you feel is very like romantic. It looks very more artsy and well just prepared. As he kind of smiles at you, goes and continues and goes, with this, I think you'll get their interest well enough. Good attention to detail and then lightheartedness always works out. A little chaos like a painting, if you will.
Of course, it's more about the charm anyways, huh?
It's true, you should hear. There's this, you want a real legend? I've got a statue, actually. I picked it up from my travels in the territories of the dragons. Recently being sold at this really big and popular inn on Dragon's Crown as he pulls out a statue of a golden, like a gold statue of an elf with a giant dick.
Oh,
I look at the statue, does it look like Rollerman?
It looks like a very average and common elf. It is not detailed enough to be to very like show anything specific.
It's an art piece.
Go. What was that, Roman?
I just said interesting art piece.
He nods and goes, I'm told it's a fertility piece overall from them. They've been selling them like crazy. They said it was based on this some legendary bard that keeps going around and knocking random famous people up. The gal who sold it to me was just livid about the guy that it was based on. Said something about knocking up some princess in a foreign land and was just fuming.
Interesting.
God, I'd hate to be that guy. Ugh.
And I'll just take the second bouquet and hand it to James.
He kind of puts the statue back away and goes, but if you change your mind, the statues, I'm selling them for about 5 gold pieces apiece. They seem to be quite the hot commodity amongst foreigners that are traveling around.
James is so tempted to pick one up to give to Drift.
No, don't do that.
You see a look in Roland's eyes.
I cannot imagine James giving what is essentially a naked Rollerman statue to Drip. No.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing James has ever given somebody or sold somebody. Let's be real here.
The flower merchant just kind of looks at you a lot, though, as he puts it away and smiles and goes, any other business you got here? Otherwise, I'm going to kind of finish up here and then probably go back in for a drink.
Thank you very much for the advice on the flowers. And the flowers themselves. As James will nod.
Cinder's good. I got something to make.
Hey, young man, make sure he looks over at James. Relax, calm down, trust me. I know the giant ladies will be worth climbing, but trust me, you need to take a breath, buddy, as he turns around and goes back to doing what he was doing.
James, have you ever been on a date before?
Not with anyone that was not a dwarf.
Ah, I see.
So three of you turn and start heading towards outside town and towards the ship.
James, I didn't know you used slang terms for our race as we start walking off.
Dwarves.
It's kind of gotten picked up from traveling, Uncle. But in truth, no, I've only ever dated a couple snowbeard women, and it was before, well, I started my plans to leave. My formative years.
Well, throw out any customs that you use, because that's not gonna work here.
Looks to Cinder, who used the same customs that I was taught generally.
Well, he's crazy. He can use them. It's fine. And he knows the date he's going on.
I'll just do my best.
Mm-hmm. I have faith in you, buddy.
You guys can tell out of character, I am fucking nervous to flirt with this DM. Fuck you, Royce. I hate this.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not doing anything. As you lot keep going, though, kind of heading through the town, the quietness still relatively present as you kind of head through. About this point, now hitting 9 o'clock as you reach the ship, seeing your crew going about their business. Many of them kind of sitting around and eating and relaxing, as they don't really seem to have much to do in town, or really while they're here. Some you can hear the light sounds down below of the thumping of the hammer and Forge's forge. But otherwise, nothing else seems to kind of be really kind of catching your attention as you all come aboard.
I will go first talk to the Rough Bloods about taking the currently produced weapons, masterwork weapons, to the Underdark Exploration Guild.
That you fully forgot the name of.
Yes!
Echoes of the Underdark.
Echoes of the Underdark. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just... Yeah. Alright, as you continue, or as James kind of goes to start talking to the Rough Bloods, Rolliman and I know Cinder all of a sudden kind of heads down below towards his own room, vanishing beneath. Rolliman, are you doing anything?
I'll just inform the crew of the festivities and say that have fun.
Please inform them that we'll be leaving in the morning or tonight.
Oh, yeah, that too. We'll also be heading off in the morning, so don't get too drunk.
You see the sadness in their eyes as you mention that.
I know.
It's good that you warned them.
But as you look kind of with that, as James kind of sees the Rough Bloods off as they head into town with the wagon and taking the material or the weapons with them as they vanish into the town. That leaves you three kind of to do as you will. Cinder, as you go, we'll start with you as you go work on your ice flower craft. Can you give me? Do you have a crafts check specifically for blue ice or no?
That's what the sculpting is for.
I know the sculpting, just making sure that it didn't have a specific skill that needed. Okay, cool.
No, so I have sculpting and I have spells that shape ice.
Got you. Yeah, give me a sculpting check. And is there any flower in particular you're basing this off of, or are you just kind of making a general design?
I am just seeing where the roll takes me. It just has to match the bouquet in some way, because it's the centerpiece of the bouquet.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. That'll be middling roll. 26.
26. As you kind of work away sculpting the flower, you manage to get to match a similar design to the Rosmium flowers at the center, making this bright blue, crystallized looking flower that seems to glimmer with the light from the blessing of the god. It's beautiful by all accounts, but as you kind of look onto it knowing you could have done better, I mean, it's still what would be considered by most a masterpiece. as you work away. Is there anything else you'd like to be doing, or are you just gonna kind of chill working on this with us? No.
I'll PM you the other thing.
Okay. Oh no. Alright, as you disappear away, kind of continuing to work at Rollman, after letting the crew know, we'll jump to you. Many of the crew seem almost ecstatic and kind of a buzz as you walk around talking about their plans for the night. Some of the Frost Giant crew members excited and smiling about the idea of going into town and being able to visit the local taverns. As well as the one of them seemingly very ecstatic about this something called a sweet meat pie that he is talking about to the others. But elsewise, the crew seems to be in pretty good morale. Is there anything else you'd like to do while you're walking around the ship?
I don't think so. I'll clean my armor and weapons.
Okay. All right. I don't have a roll for that, so you can just give me a D20.
Do that.
Yeah, just give me a D20 and see if you can how much glimmer you can give to them. 20 makes them reflect you, and 1, you just do the bare minimum of what you do day to day.
All right.
Let's see.
10.
Middling? Alright, it's not great, but it's not bad as you again working away, oiling up your swords, kind of working on the sheaths, disassembling and cleaning out grit and grime everywhere. Yeah.
They look nice.
Rollman kind of spends the next hour or so kind of working, or next few hours kind of working away at this as he does so. Alright. James, what about you?
First, I'll go visit Hammer and Forge and ask them to produce more ceremonial weapons for where we're headed next, using the silver that we have.
As you head down, you see one of them kind of looks at you, or one of them looks over at you and nods, and as you kind of address them, walking up, it's like Hammer and Forge. Helen, you called Hammer, looks at you, and then immediately you hear in your head, "No, I'm Forge," and the other one goes, "And I'm Hammer."
I'm sorry,
As you look at them, and you're almost 100% sure, and you can see the markings that is not true. They are bullshitting at you as they're trying not to giggle.
I just look at them with a smile and go, okay. Since we're heading to the Genasi lands next, you two probably shouldn't get off the ship too often. Not that you seem to mind staying on here most of the time.
They look at each other, they look back at you, and then simultaneously speak and say, "What do you mean? We have great social lives." Forge goes, "I found a rat in the back of a trash can the other day. It was surprising." Hammer looks at you and goes, "I found a little vagrant who was trying to come around our ship and break it."
Good job.
Good job. But since we're heading there, they seem to appreciate silver weaponry. So if you make ceremonial pieces with silver, it might sell well.
They look at each other, and almost as if they seem to be communicating amongst each other some strange language, and they seem to pause and look back at you.
Clicking.
As they look back at you, their antennae kind of going up and down, and Hammer goes, "Yes, we can do that."
Thank you.
As you close the door and head back out into the general crew, James.
I'll head to my room to identify the ring, and
Okay.
looking at the bouquet, does it look like I'd be able to fit one flower in there and have it still look really nice?
Yeah, you can easily probably move some things around as long as you're careful with it.
I'm not gonna do anything.
You can also
risky.
take out one of the flowers.
You could also.
Well, I'm debating on putting a rosmium flower in there because we have a lot, and they don't weigh a pound. We have 100 pounds of them.
Yeah, you could put one in the middle.
I
Take
think.
out the middle flower.
Yeah, I'll do that. Go grab one of the rosmium flowers and replace the middle flower with it. That way it shows at least I'm trying to be very exceptional here. I'm doing my best.
Okay. Yeah, as you kind of head to your room and begin to work away, it's a Weasley situation, guys. Oh yeah. Heading into your room, beginning to mess with the bouquet. As you do, it seems to manage to easily get back into place, kind of making it look like nothing's really been disturbed. And it looks good to you. As you kind of smile on with it. Yeah.
All right, time to identify this ring of arming.
All right. As an hour is gonna go by of you working in your room, as you see, quite. I assume leaving your door open because of Hammer and Forge also working away. Oh no, you're going into the captain's quarters, right? Never mind. You're not going into your room because that's Hammer and
Yeah.
Forge set up there.
Hammer and Forge are set up there. Unless I'm set up there, that's where they get to work.
Yeah, no worries. Kind of heading into the captain's quarters as you do, you see, or as you kind of sit down at the desk, setting the ring of arming, kind of making your drink once more as you do, as you cast it on. It's the ring of arming. With the identify to note, the activation is to activate it. The word command or the command word is standard, which means as you state standard, that will put your armor into the item or will take it out. It also means that if someone else is wearing this item and says that command word, it will also take the armor out. So keep that in mind. Beyond that, the ring has an aura of a moderate transmutation. And give me a spellcraft check for the rest of it, real quick.
Do I burn extra stuff on this?
No, because you're already casting Identify.
26.
Alright. As you look at, kind of seeing inside the ring, the word Swift, it kind of carved into it, you realize the word Swift specifically as a command is only to activate that specific arm. This ring of arming was made by caster level 11, so one level higher than what normally would be made, and seems to have a secret compartment, which is what this, what you realize that lightning tunic was inside. The rest of the ring seems to be empty, as it seems to work normally. So in a sense, what you realize, this is just a specialized ring of arming to hide something specifically in it if someone was a capable caster and was able to look at the item. Normally, it seems, as you notice a small nub near the word Swift, as you move your finger across it, suddenly you no longer sense the tunic or the lightning tunic, nor the secondary activation.
Right.
As you say Swift, after deactivating the secret compartment, you notice that the Ring of Arming just uses the Swift command as if it was a standard, or as if you had said standard, and sucks your armor in without issue, and as you say it again, it seems to give it right back.
Perfect. Does it suck both my armor and weapon in?
It does. That's our armor.
Correct, yes.
All right, I will. And does it shrink down to my finger, or is this bracelet sized for me?
It does shrink down to your finger. However, the gemstone proportionally is still quite large, and still kind of glitters as a large centerpiece. It looks almost slightly gaudy as a giant red ruby gemstone at the centerpiece. But as you look at it, kind of admiring it for a moment, it almost it fits to the more rich merchant appearance that would normally be expected. As you think back to the Samog lands, where you saw many of the Rakshasa merchants dripping in gold and gemstones.
Well, James doesn't like that because it's gaudy. He has to kind of play the part.
As he puts it on.
10 years when James is covered in jewelry.
I mean, his armor already glimmers in the light.
My armor is my gaudy, thank you. I don't need dripping. I don't need to be dripping with gold and jewels normally.
But yeah, as you kind of note, so yes, you have a ring of arming, just so you know, for your own note, and it's basically just one level up as far as caster level.
I'll just note it separately as a specialized ring of arming.
Mm-hmm.
Secret compartment with these
command Swift.
Yep.
That when there is, and that can be activate or deactivate the compartment on at will. So there's just a little nub you have to kind of push with your finger, and it basically that way if someone steals this off of you, unless they re-hit that nub, they cannot sense the hidden armor inside of it.
And I'm just calling it lightning leather inside.
It is called the tunic or lightning tunic. That is actually the name of the item. If you want to look it up. It is in the Magic Compendium, for those who were wondering, page 114. And for what it looks like as a depiction outside of how I described it, is usually what you would see. However, do note this was demonstrated by a cleric who had a massive maul, which is kind of cool looking. But as you begin to kind of go through identifying, working through this and realizing it, the other thing that comes to mind, James, is you realize that this item had to belong to either a high-ranking nobleman or some very capable caster at some point, as something like this should not be easily available to the world. If this came from the Underdark, that gives you a lot more questions than does answers.
It makes me a bit worried, but I'm using it as as just a regular ring of arming. If someone comes along and wants to pay back the price that I just paid for it, they can take it.
I will say, as you look on there, there's no royal sigils, no noble sigils, there's not even a smith's mark, which tells you that this was probably made, as you kind of think for a second, either generically or special order.
Well, then I will get my armor stored in there and get on my noble clothes at this point.
James will begin to change. Cinder.
Doing some preening of the beard too.
Really?
Make it clean and look very nice. Time to oil it.
Oh, okay. When I say preening, that means like I'm going through and like doing a light clipping of the straggler hairs that stick out and stuff like that. To a dwarf, any dwarf, that would be almost a dishonor. But to clean it up and to
clean
like
it, make sure it's
comb it in,
sure it's nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, as you work away at kind of combing your beard in and kind of cleaning yourself up for the date, kind of working around in the captain's quarters for the next few hours, getting yourself set up, also going through some paperwork and such. We'll come back to you in a moment. Cinder, as you look in the mirror, kind of standing there, that's kind of just conjured in front of you on your icy mountain, as you stand in your room. The bouquet set on a little table made of solid ice off to the side that's sitting on the tip of this mountain as you look off to this vast, snowy, almost dead space, really, in truth. But as you look over at the mirror that kind of conjures up out of solid ice, making yourself into some, what looks to be some blue ice robes, kind of almost what would be expected of an archmage, as you begin to design the different colors of the ice, thinning out the amount of water, and the water is being used to make it slightly very dense blue highlights. As you kind of finish, the robes look almost identical to a archmage. As you stand there looking in front of it, you feel like a nobleman, like someone of the highest stature. As you think back on the closest thing to what was someone who wasn't the king, but had huge power back at the Snowbeard court, and thinking of one of the court wizards that kind of came to mind as you think, or kind of going back to that, kind of trying to get the same look of clothing as you base it, Cinder. You look and feel like a nobleman.
Beautiful. I finally feel like a person.
Real boy now.
Getting the sticks out of your beard, the little chunks of ice, getting your hair kind of lightly washed in some ice to get it formed and like sat to the side properly.
For the first time ever, Cinder's beard's gonna be clean.
This does feel really weird, huh?
Little spectacles of little water droplets of ice to make your beard glimmer in the light.
Look, I tried to use prestidigitation once. It's taking full-on ice magic to do this. I'm impressed when I see this.
No, yeah. As Cinder, after a few hours, because this is going to take him like fine-tuning this most of the day as he's working away at this, rolling and cleaning everything. Go ahead, Cinder. Yeah.
I started early because we have to meet the date. It's sometime in the early mid-afternoon, so I needed the time. Yeah.
As you guys kind of work away through the hours, Cinder, as you kind of go about, Rollman, you're gonna finish cleaning up your materials? I assume all your weapons and such and armor.
Yep, and the suit that
yes
I usually wear.
Yes, your glimmer. Yes.
Also, Roman will spend the time that he's cleaning also thinking of a way to combat Ball in case they're encountered.
That's actually a good question. So as you kind of think about that, when most of your books are in the captain's quarters, as far as that goes, you can either give me a knowledge history, nobility. Sadly, you can give me a profession mercenary as well to see if you recognize this name at all, and see if you can come up with anything. Otherwise, if you want some bonuses, all your books are in the captain's quarters. So. You're gonna have to go
Go
bug
there and grab
James.
them.
Door's not locked.
Yeah, as you walk in, seeing James standing in front of the mirror, like pulling a single beard hair with a tweezer to move it to the right place as he looks at you as you walk in.
This looks like so much trouble. No, that I don't
There's
get
some
those.
clasps now in the beard. It looks like
A couple gold
he, like,
runes and gems, yeah.
That's what you spent this whole hour on, is
he's
modifying your
dressed in his
beard?
merchant outfit, and he's looking nice.
Hey, you look nice, James.
Oh, the snow begins.
Look,
As you
what
look,
do you
I will
need?
say, as you look over Rollman, I mean, James is in the same merchant attire he wears for most of his like big dealings. So you're so used to seeing this. I mean, it's a very nobleman's outfit, but it's a common sight to you compared to as you kind of when you're walking past Cinder's room and seeing what Cinder was looking like.
Oh shit.
You know, you're saying James has kind of got his beard kind of glimmered up a little bit more. His hair has a few more like gems and a bit of a notice. His eyebrows are very immaculately taken care of. His mustache is actually well out combed and oiled. I mean, he looks good, like really well put together. But I mean, just a little bit higher than what you'd normally be used to.
Yep, I'll just grab the books and head out. No, not really.
As you pass by James, as you just kind of ignoring James's comment.
Oh, did he ask? What was his question? He asked a question?
What did you need?
Oh, just some books. Don't worry.
Okay.
Keep messing with your beard or whatever.
It's not messing with, it's fixing it.
Like tweezers another hair over into a clasp, and you see as the clasp gold like shuts tightly and begins to glow a slight golden color. You can hear, and as you walk out the light, hear of James almost like slightly not squealing, but a little bit of almost a surprise as he feels the beard hair pinch, and then like the last comment you hear in Dwarvish as you walk out, Rollman, being something along the lines of, "This always happens when they're small." James using his James using his family class from when he was a young man, when he first before he had set off as a merchant. He's a little bit bigger or a little bit small for now.
Do you want to use your family class? If they have insignia on them?
No, they do not have the crest. It's like a gift as a family. Yeah. So
I'd
his
probably
basically
move them lower
says
so they're
James.
holding less hair but look nicer. Sort of going with the jingle beard idea here.
As James kind of begins to work, kind of putting little glowing gems all kind of hanging out there in his little class with it, Roman, as you grab a couple books off the shelf, heading back out and down below. As you head down below, finding yourself in another spot, you see as Cinder's beard is just perfectly glimmering now with little ice dots that seem to have different coloration. There's even little red gems in there now that seem to give a bit of glitter as Cinder kind of smiles over at you. His finger a little bit pricked as from the blood that seems to have kind of come off of it.
Holy shit, Cinder. I didn't know you would actually clean up like this much. I thought you were just gonna go in like your normal self.
What? Why would I do that?
I don't know. Some people don't like to change for fancy things.
I wasn't gonna do all this, but James demanded a good impression.
One of the Frost Giant crew walking by looks in, Cinder kind of whistles and goes, "Looking good, Mr. Druid."
Thank you.
As he passes by.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Alright, as Roman goes back to find his room once more, heading inside with the books in hand. As you head in, Roman kind of flipping through them. Knowledge, nobility, history, or a profession mercenary. You can add a +5 to your roll.
Okay. Yeah. 28.
Damn.
Russian mercenary.
Unfortunately, there is not anyone that has a name that sticks out in your head that pops off, similar to the name Ball. Though, as you kind of think about it, there were a good few devils that would go by a similar name. It was a very common proto-fiend name. As you kind of think about it, the proto-fiends, from what you kind of know, are typically very dirty fighters, preferring to use magic and manipulation over physical prowess. However, that doesn't mean, nor has it ever stopped them from physically matching most capable soldiers, pound for pound and blow for blow. as you kind of think about it, no names kind of come up with the name Ball. As you kind of realize, you need either a last name or a nickname or something to give you a bit more context to go off of.
It was also, they were described as an elf.
That's
Well,
true.
And their
As
abilities were described as basically redoing things.
I was going to get to that after.
yeah, with the Elven thing, nothing kind of comes up either. That you're pretty sure something a name like that is not Elven, and actually, in fact, that kind of seems really slightly strange that someone would use a proto-fiend name for an elf.
Probably some sort of shape changer potentially. And as for the redoing events, does that seem like a mental manipulation or like an actual time thing?
That actually does catch your attention overall with the profession mercenary. That seems to catch something similar to the rumors of two supposed casters in the world. One is supposedly Zebril. Some people believe that he is some of the mages of the world believe he is capable of time manipulation. However, this has been considered general blasphemy because of the fact that the concept of time magic, even at overall, is completely foreign. It's like the idea of saying string theory is fact and not, a theory. There's people who think it exists, but there's no way that anyone has proven it, and they haven't seen magics like that. And then there's another foreign individual who came into the news for a little bit, known as Zilpip, who kind of seemed to pop in for a while historically, and I think you lot met him.
We've met him.
Yes.
More than one occasion.
There are a lot of rumors, and there are some stories about him supposedly being able to stop time itself. Especially the rumors that have come out of these Somoglands about him being able to stand toe-to-toe with a fiend of immense power. Many of the mages believe and have hypothesized that he was using time magic to make it so the demon couldn't, or devil couldn't kill him.
And we were there for that.
Correct. Yes, you were there when the shield cracked and when Frodijin popped out.
And sent Zebril to hell.
Sent Zilpip to hell.
Zilpip.
Yeah,
Zilpip.
Zebril went to Abaddon. That would have been much worse because Zebril would have probably died quite quickly because he was not meant to be alone and fighting that many creatures. He wanted to kill, especially with Shaw. Oh god. But yeah.
Okay. So probably not Zilpip. Doesn't sound like Ball. Maybe it could be a cover name. Also, time. That seems like time magic seems more powerful than mental manipulation.
As you actually, with that in mind, good point, because I actually didn't take that from Roland One's perspective. A side perspective could be, given his mercenary experience, this could be, instead of time manipulation, could be just a very high and capable bard. Someone like maybe of Greg's Maratom's level, as a hypothetical, right? That is able to manipulate and create illusions to make it look as if they were affecting time. Wouldn't be a very difficult task, you imagine, depending on the illusionist and depending on how far away the illusion was.
Okay. Roland's probably going to go ahead and with that mindset of mental manipulation.
Okay. As you kind of look through the books, though, finding not really anything surprisingly on the name Ball, other than a few general notes of some. There's a proto-fiend named Ball that was some mercenary that died years ago. As you look through, that doesn't fit the profile. There's some individual substance called Ball, but that has 5 A's instead of 2. As you kind of think about kind of going over how the name was spelt, nothing kind of sticks out. Especially none of them having elven features, as a few depictions of the art pieces as you look at them don't seem to show that. Many of them kind of being nastier and uglier overall. But as you spend your time doing that, the three of you continue prepping for the next couple hours as you kind of go about it. We're going to take a quick break as the DM runs to the restroom and grabs a refill on his beverage, and we will return with the party heading to meet their dates. We'll see you in a mere second. Alright, we're back. A little quicker than we originally planned, because DM was the only one who had to step away for a second to grab some fresh water. Like a camel, I go through this stuff too quickly. That's actually the opposite. Yeah, I know. Don't worry about it. Hey, I'm the DM, and I'm the one responsible for telling the story. In my world, camels drink a lot of water, so fuck you.
They do that all the way through.
Yeah. Wait, what?
They drink a lot of water, and then they hold it.
Yep. They do. They hold it in their 1 to 2 homes. Thank you for that. That's a goat, I'm pretty sure, but alright. With our party members getting dressed up, James and Cinder taking the time to kind of make their Hero Forge characters to update. James coming out looking like a founding father, putting in his beard extensions as his beard is not nearly as long, but it's part of the it's part of the runes of his family's magic. What the most part people don't realize is the treasure horns are known for creating little clasps for your beard that make your beard extend about 3 inches longer. So that way it always looks like you have like a very elderly looking beard overall.
It's good for status.
Exactly. Actually, that's exactly it. It's an intimidation factor too, because it makes you look older. What's scarier than a person who successfully lived long in this life? He does. But as the three of you kind of manage to spend the rest of the evening or rest of the morning and the early afternoon getting yourselves ready, getting some food in you, and kind of getting yourselves prepped over the general understanding of what is the basic etiquette of giants and going over what you can find on stone giants. Thankfully, learning much of it seems to be pretty common to the frost giants, which you have already gained a good bit of a custom to. So, with that, as you lot kind of are catching the side of the sun and realizing it's time to go, gathering up yourselves, you start to head into town. Kind of standing ready, all looking immaculate. As you do, as you three head through the town. The town now bustling. The sounds of cheering, laughter, and the streets are packed full of drunks, merchants, and cut purses. However, as you lot watch, give me spot and listen checks.
Oh.
Spot and listen. Can I forego both for a search check?
Sure. I'll take that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bringing any money. I just have my bag of holding on my side. Because there's no need to bring money, and I have the flowers.
Bean search.
16. Okay.
Nope.
Ouch.
Is that your spot or listen?
Spot.
Spot. Oh God.
Okay.
Don't worry, Karen. Take a +6. That's why my buff's higher. You know what I'm doing.
Okay, so that's 14 then.
Still not good on your regard, but
James is very focused
But
on...
listen is not paid.
James is focused on thinking how he's going to talk to his date.
Yeah, right. As Rollman, kind of as you watch amongst the streets, kept keeping your eye out, it's kind of it's surprisingly noticeable that many of the little thieves that are kind of making their way through the crowd, taking purses and such, seem to be clearly avoiding you a lot by a good wide berth. As you watch on, it's kind of strange catching your eye as you look about, noticing a few individuals that look a little bit more thuggish. Wearing leather jerkins that are a bit more rough, carrying what looks to be daggers, which, as you look back, not many of the people that are outside of adventurers are carrying weapons amongst the town, which is kind of why it catches your attention that these individuals seem to be as stone giants holding weapons of their own, standing off on the sides of the street as you pass by. But otherwise, nothing else really catches your attention as you quickly pat yourself down. Nothing's been stolen off of you, as you notice, thankfully. Watching a few of the little thieves kind of look over at you a lot, and then immediately turn and continue into the crowd further. James and Cinder, you both hear whispers coming from the thieves. A few of them looking over at you, and the minor alarm of, "Those are the stinky merchants! That's the ass merchant. He only sells horrible ass corpse." You hear one
take
go
a right step as we're walking away from Jane.
You hear the last one go, "Oh, dude, the Red Hand's gonna go and deal with the Iron Hand or the Iron Merchants. Just wait." as the thieves seem to kind of start to splurge off and head into different directions, running and escaping from you lot, as Cinder takes a few steps away from James. Play a little bit of space between the two of you. Yeah, as you lot hear this kind of continuing
Don't
through
steal
the
from
street.
me. It's the only thought in my head.
James seemingly a little bit proud with that as he looks over at Cinder with a bit of confusion. But as the party continues through the streets, heading over towards Gertrude's shop, the Carmon's Anvil, you lot see as she looks to be sitting at her shop or in front of her smithy, hammering away at something. As what looks to be two smaller stone giants that look to be a bit daintier and thinner seem to be kind of standing in the doorway, watching her craft. As you lot walk up. As they kind of look over at you for a second, the two in the doorway, kind of seemingly kind of a little bit surprised and with a smile, having pushed your way through the crowd. Gertrude kind of looks over at the two women and then seems to look confused as she turns her head, looking over and goes, "Oh, oh God, oh, She kind of looks at you for a second, and goes, "You're early." She looks down at her smithing attire covered in sweat and kind of lifts her arm up quickly as the smell as well as the small mushrooms growing out from underneath kind of show themselves. She kind of takes a whiff and then puts her arm down again as she quietly, you can see a bit of green around her cheeks as she looks over at you lot and goes, you've got shopping to do, I assume, in town, or, something?
I mean, we can come back if that...
I'll catch the hint and say, of course.
Nods and goes, find yourselves, the inn. If you're looking to do some shopping and doing some work around here, there's she kind of looks around, like over the crowd as she stands up, kind of brushing away some sweat as she does, and some coal from her, or some ash from her face. Pointing across the street, you see what looks to be a large 4-story building that seems to be quite wide as well, having massive room windows look to be, as kind of some of them being open to be master bedrooms. Inside, on the bottom floor, what looks to be a massive window dominates most of it, showing you a huge tavern that is horribly overcrowded and busy as she points over towards it and goes, there's good business being done on over there. Why don't you give us about an hour and we'll be ready to meet with you lot and head on our way. I must have lost track of time as she looks up at the two other women who seem to giggle and smile, kind of waving over towards James and Rolliman.
I give him a bow. No issue. Do you want us to meet back here?
Uh-huh.
James will follow Rolliman's lead and
also
bow.
back.
Yeah.
Awkward. As James kind of gets a little bit slower a few moments after, kind of giving a bow as well, kind of quickly following after Rolliman. It's like you have a little brother. You've seen this before. It's like when you would watch like families go out hunting with you back home. An older brother would show a younger how to hunt, and he would like try to copy him in every way. It was always somewhat adorable, but also sometimes not always to the best detriment or the best situations.
Roman just finds a bit of amusement in the parallel.
Fuck this.
I'll ask. Do you want us to meet back here?
She nods and smiles and goes, "Yes, feel free to. I need to get a bath and get myself cleaned up and something more appropriate as well. We'll be showing up a little early, so don't be too drunk, as the drinking won't start for another hour or two."
All right.
Understood.
Should give us plenty of time to meet the guests, as she smiles and then waves you lot off.
Well, gentlemen, you want to hit the bathhouse?
Adventure!
to the tavern across the street, I guess.
Tavern or the bathhouse?
What do we want to bet?
Why are we going to a bathhouse?
Why not?
We're clean already.
Fine. Okay,
That's
let's go to the tavern.
Cinder in the background, like looking on, like waiting for the attack as he's planning and betting on when it's gonna happen.
Look, I know it is. It's either gonna be during the party, before, or right after.
I mean, you're saying that Roman's paranoid.
We
And
just heard whispers about the Red Hand's gonna attack the Ironheart.
You did. Did you tell me?
so
I'll tell
James,
Roland as we're walking away.
so you
Yes.
guys kind of make your way through the crowd and kind of make your way up to the large inn as the door opens up. It is crowded with bodies, but as you kind of find your way to a table towards one of the corners of the room, there are stone giants, dragonkin, koboldkin of all sorts kind of going about, some snowbeards, a few other dwarven races. Some what looks to be even some dragons that look to be polymorphed kind of going about their business as you kind of find yourselves a place to sit down. Some dark red ales kind of sat down in front of you as a stone giant kind of looks at you lot, smiles, and sets them down and goes, "Be 3 coppers."
I don't keep small.
I give you 3 coppers because I keep the small monies.
She kind of takes the copper, smiles, and goes, "When you finish, I'll be around with another round. You can pay for it first, and I'll hand it to you then. If you don't want it, you can just send me on my way." And she turns and heads back to deal with another customer, almost immediately leaving you there.
Seeing James struggle to understand that people deal
Small
less
money
than gold.
doesn't compute.
Yeah, James is like looking in his coin purse for like anything that's smaller than a gold piece as he's like digging through it.
I have some
Sure.
silver. I have this weird bar in here.
Me and Roland both carry small coins, and you know that's hilarious.
That is
I love
funny.
it.
Yeah, James. Yeah, here. You might want to take some of these. I hand him 150 copper.
I slowly hand you. Fucking
No, I don't want your
one
goddamn money.
gold
Just
and
take
5
it.
silver. Make
No.
change.
God
No.
damn it.
Just give your
I'm
damn money.
specifying now. I am not drinking a lot of Cinder.
James won't be drinking much either, because hearing that they're gonna be attacked, I don't want to be drunk.
Oh
Would you
god,
just-
it's
Would you say something of a red hand?
Yeah, the red hand.
I try and recall back to when we were sitting
James
down.
of the local crime.
When we were sitting down, waiting for the Knights of Tempelos, when we were listening into the adventuring
Mm-hmm.
area, did I ever hear of anything of a red hand during that time?
Give me a gather information roll.
Gather info. Can I make that a knowledge history?
No.
Okay.
Can I roll listen?
At best I'd
I don't-
take would be a listen check as an opposed thing to see it.
I would say I want to roll listen because I feel like if anyone's gonna attack us, you know what's gonna be here in this crowded ass tavern that we can't get away.
17 gather
Yeah.
info.
17, okay. Oh yeah, give me a listen check, that's fine. As you think
so
back
fun.
on it, as you think back on the group of adventurers, the Red Hand is noted as a mercenary group that does hire amongst the local town, especially amongst many adventurers who don't make it, meaning like their groups will leave them behind or they give up because they've seen too much death. Some are sole survivors. I mean, there's a sob story in every individual. But, you know, you got to get paid at the end of the day, and they are noted to pay around a gold piece a week, which around here, as you kind of think about it, Rollman, that's more than many commoners that don't own like shops and stuff are ever going to see in their life. That's a humongous amount of pay for a gang. As you kind of think back to Greg's Tom's Lances, last time you guys had a major kind of run-in with the underworld, that's a lot from even gangs there to pay.
Okay. Was there any descriptions? of the current members?
No, most of it's just mostly talking about people being invited. Of course, most of the Echoes of the Underdark are 99% of their members are all stone giants. So,
Okay.
beyond
Was
that,
there any like initiation
Uh,
things, like tattoos or something?
they do all have a mark on their hand, and all of them are missing their pinky. That is something you would have heard.
Okay.
Because as the comment on why many don't want to join is many aren't willing to give up their finger.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll keep a lookout for those two things.
Okay.
While we're waiting.
And then Cinder, the 29 is your listen check, and James, the 16 is your listen check.
Yep.
Cool. As you lot listen in, as the or as the time goes on, the tavern seems to be pretty lively. Talks about the supposed big ball going on up at the castle. Some people, or a few mentions of Bun bringing out a new rare artifact to show on display during the ball, and that's what this whole thing is about. There is also mention of sightings of Sunna and Pulpin within the territory. As well as a strange group of individuals that seem to all be noted as red elves that seem to have kind of popped into town. Many of them noting them to wear strange armor with markings of blackened chains that are cracked. But as you kind of think about it initially, without a roll immediately, that doesn't kind of come to mind as anything you've heard before. Between the two of you, the only other thing you kind of catch amongst them is there seems to be talk about the four major factions at play, and the expectation of one of them to make a move today at the ball to try and gain a little more influence over Bun and his territory. But beyond that,
fucking Cinder kind of has his hand on his head because I just re-looked up the power blocks of who sided with who at the World Leader meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Sunna sided with Endrick, who both Pulpin and Bun hate.
Yep.
Oh no.
Assassination.
This might be a fight between Sunna and Pulpin, and oh god.
The chains, would that be a knowledge religion? The broken chains to see
if you think it's religious, yeah, I'll take a knowledge religion if that's what you think it's related to.
It's either religious or historical in this instance.
So if you think it's specifically religion, I'll take a knowledge religion. History, I'll just give you more of a general answer.
I'll go with history.
I believe in you.
Cinder kind of is having a full realization in the back of his head.
Oh, dude.
Hey,
Sunna hurts everyone around him. So if he gets in a fight, it's gonna be bad.
James, as you think historically, no, I mean there are gods that have claimed similar, but nothing specifically that from the Collective of Pyrus book specifically mentions anything like this. Nothing comes to mind of any of the books you read when you were younger. It's almost completely an unknown concept of a first symbol.
Well, could it be in relation to Durali's symbol, which is a chain?
As you think for the two, they do not sound related enough at all. Durali's chain is described very differently, and this one being broken and blackened tells you this. The only thing that comes to mind immediately is this tells you this person, the individuals seem to be probably anti-slavery, is what you're able to gather, because typically that's what those chains mean.
The main point of Durali's symbol isn't a chain, but a collar.
Yep. And these are specifically black cracked chains. So
possibly related to Himkin.
No, it could be, but that doesn't immediately come to mind as you think back. As I mentioned, this symbol and sigil has not been seen anywhere in the book of the Collective of Pyrus is published yet.
Information's always good.
True. But as you lot kind of continue to listen in, the rest of the talk seems to be mostly drunken excitement, celebrating, a few people asking what the celebration is about, as you hear a lot of questions kind of popping off about that in general. I just closed the document I was trying to look at. God damn it. Give me one moment as I pull that back up. Gotta love World Anvil. There we go. Because I need to make sure I'm correct on my note here as this pops up. Yes. All right. As you all hear the mention of this is the celebration of the Jotun Smidor. Which, as you hear this, kind of thinking for a moment, both of you would recognize this as the time for those who would try to become Rin Stars to rise. So as the Verda, which are basically the apprentices, are known to compete over the full year, this is also the time when the Rinstar will try to take on the leader or the Oziter of the nation. This is also a time for them to compete, so there is a good chance as you think on it, hearing this, that you're about to see a lot of smithing going on at this ball, and this is going to be a very big competition more than a slaughter.
Oh, I wish I would have brought my tools.
You can at least draw off your armor if you ever need to.
I will mention, James, as you think for a second, even with that minor history check, many promising Rinstars have found themselves as sacrifices offered on the final days of the great competition. As you kind of think about that and remember that as a last note.
Maybe don't show off.
I look to Rolvin. Don't take out the full blade.
Because the presentation of crafted goods being presented to the heart of a volcano when, go ahead.
Don't take out the full blade.
As Roman mentions that he won't if there isn't a reason, as James kind of thinks, you will hear a bit more about the supposed expectations this year. There are 4 smiths that represent the 4 factions that are believed to be challenging the Ozter this year for right to rule as well as influence over the territory. However, they do not seem to mention who they are, and you do not catch any other names.
Is the leaders presenting like a defense, sort of like if no one can beat that, they can't become the leader?
So basically what happens is, for your knowledge, is that when this, the Jotun or basically the Rinstars are going to take all of their items that they have made over the year, or they will make it there, as they compete against the Oster specifically. Again, depends on the competition, how it was set up by the 2 individuals. But basically, they 2 compete, and then they present their items to the ruling court to basically decide which item was a better craft. Now, once that is decided, that will be what kind of gives the rule. So, for your knowledge, yes, to answer your question in short, Roman, an item will be presented to show proof of their crafting, and could be crafted also during this ball.
Okie dokie.
Mm-hmm. All right. But as you kind of continue to sit here relaxing and hearing this, time goes on and nothing seems to happen as the hour passes, as you guys finally kind of finishing up the a few sips of your drink that you that you had just to see if it was any good, tasting the light red Auburn ale. But otherwise, as you head back over towards the Carmon's anvil, you see as Gertrude and her sisters are all finally dressed up. Kind of as you walk through, kind of pushing through the crowds, kind of coming up to the shop, they seem to smile almost immediately. Gertrude still standing in what looks to be almost this ornate armor made of solid platinum, having beautiful designs on it of what looks to be clearly illithids marked all over it. It's just bare. It looks like it's been slightly custom fitted with marks of iron have been mixed in to patch it to make it slightly larger in size. As you recognize James, the sigil and marking of Zebral's craftsmanship on the side of it.
I'll just nod in approval. It's good quality.
The other 2, as Gertrude smiles as you walk up and kind of looks at you a lot and looks down and goes, "These are my sisters. This is Sif," as she points over to the thinner, daintier-looking stone giant with slightly pointed ears that seem to kind of round off at the top. Very almost like the feral Gargan you had seen amongst the Knights of Tempelis. Her black hair and very bright golden eyes seem to kind of give almost a glimmer to her appearance, as she seems to kind of stand out slightly amongst the other stone giants. As Gertrude points to her and looks at Rollman and goes, "That's your date, and Young James, the one with the mouth, I figured I'd introduce you to my sister, who's a bit stronger than myself, as she holds her hand out to this also slightly dainty-looking individual and goes, "This is Helga." Helga looks to be covered head to toe in silver and gold and gemstones, as well as what looks to be a beautiful glimmering dress made of solid rubies.
I'll walk over to Helga, present the bouquet, and say, "It's a pleasure to meet you."
She looks down at you and giggles, and then Gertrude looks at you and goes, "Oh, best part, she only speaks giant."
I'll say it in giant.
She
I
looks
speak
down
giant.
suddenly as you say it again in giant, and Helga smiles and goes, as you see about her a couple missing teeth, but the rest of them seemingly clean, as she looks down at you and goes, "Now, aren't you just edible?"
James will just keep a smile.
And James's heart just sank into his stomach. As
They always want to eat me.
James is thinking back to Granny Apple as this not the kind of thing he was looking for in the slightest.
Yeah. I'll go over to Sif and give them a bow and then offer the bouquet. A pleasure to meet you, Sif. My name is Roloman.
Sif looks down at you and smiles in glee as she does and holds out this little golden elfin statue.
Oh my.
And she looks at you and goes, "It's you, in giant."
Is this little golden statue the one we saw earlier?
Uh-huh, and it's the same quality and everything.
Interesting statue.
I bought one. I got one from from the trustworthy guy in town. He mentioned after I told him I was going on a date with an elven gentleman that he might look like this, and I thought, Now she looks down at the very protruding device and looks over at you and goes, "Is it true?"
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
She just kind of gives you an eye and kind of smiles at that, and Gertrude just shakes her head and looks over at Cinder and goes, "I was expecting you to show up in mud and twigs. I wasn't expecting you to be glimmering more than I am."
It was demanded, as I kind of look at James, that I make a proper impression, as I'll pull up my bouquet.
She looks down at the ice flower in the center and smiles and goes, "Is this blue ice?"
Partially.
Looks at it and goes, "Now that's fine craftsmanship if I have ever seen it. The sculptor probably took you hours to make." She kind of looks at it and smiles and goes, "This will become a mantelpiece in my shop, I think."
Bow my head slightly.
She smiles at it and kind of puts it away and goes, "Well, I guess for that I won't embarrass you as we go into there, so let me prep you three to explain what you're walking into. This isn't going to be the common expectation of a ball. I am challenging the, I guess you'd say king in common to his position. I'm the leading Rin star of the entirety of the town." As she kind of bows slightly. "Gertrude, it is truly a name and title. Technically, what it means is one who makes only for kings. In giant, my actual name is Gur, which means the one who is married. However, unfortunately, as that is not true. With that, I should also let you know we are probably going to be meeting a few individuals that are quite unique, so be prepared. I don't want you surprised by their interest in you lot. Being foreigners who are quite capable, you're going to have quite a bit of sway while you're here."
Understood.
She kind of smiles at that and goes, "And now," she holds out her arm for Cinder to take and goes, "Shall we?"
Of course.
As Cinder, you find yourself kind of slightly picked up off the ground and levitated almost up to a proper height. As you take her arm, you feel magic kind of swirl around you. A second later, the crowd seems to almost magically slightly push back, and in front of you appears a full carriage with what looks to be a unicorn pulling it, and a almost pumpkin-headed straw man kind of carrying or kind of at the head of it, as he bows it down slightly, and the door opens up to the carriage as Gertrude kind of smiles and goes, Alright, all aboard, and don't mind the smell of feet. This is mother's, and we are borrowing it.
I make no comments.
Make no comments either. There is nothing to say in this instance. Just nod, smile, and get in.
As the three of you climb aboard, kind of following after, the ladies seem to follow with you a lot, kind of climbing on.
I'll help Sif in.
Sif and Helga, yeah, kind of climbing to, sitting almost immediately into James and Roman. Sif seemingly seems to kind of keep a comfortable space from you, Roman, seemingly smiling and keeping a bit of small talk the entire time. However, Helga seems to almost immediately wrap her arms around James and just kind of lightly starts to play with his beard and twirl it in her hand as she looks at him, almost cradling James into her. As James looks, I imagine, slightly uncomfortable with the sudden attention.
Mildly uncomfortable, but you know what? I'm being polite. Merchant smiles on. I'm pretty sure the only one that can see through it is Gertrude.
James, you the light whispers of her going, I'm just going to eat you up tonight, as you're just a small little vanilla man. James.
It comes out later. This is just Granny Apple in disguise.
God.
A sense motive.
Alright, yeah, give me a sense motive.
I have to know how threatening this is.
Let's see how threatening. 15. She does not seem to be hostile to you in the slightest. However, there is an aggression to her voice.
He's the top.
Cinder in the background, just like looking at this with like complete curiosity, as if a researcher for animals watching two creatures about to mate in front of him.
I'll just politely smile.
Just gotta survive the night.
One night.
James, no, it looks completely frozen and uncomfortable. He is as stiff as a board as he just kind of sits here like almost like a grabbed cat, as his head just stares straight off with a smile on his face and goes, yeah. Gertrude seems to lean over towards you, Cinder, and smile and go, Helga's recently divorced with 2 kids and hasn't been able to find a man interested in her in around 6 years. It's actually happy to see that there was someone who'd be willing to take her on a date.
It's a blind date.
There was a blind date.
Yeah, but Grumpy, also consider a lot of people that weren't into it would have just walked away.
Oh, that's fair.
I made a deal. There was a promise here.
That's what's going through James's head right
leave.
now. I made a deal. I made a promise. I can't leave. Yep.
I forbid myself from leaving. I'm gonna be nice to this woman. Do I hear this whisper?
From Gertrude, no.
Oh, okay.
You're being smothered right now.
Mm-hmm. She kind of looks over. Gertrude kind of looks over at Sif and goes, "Counterly, I think Sif is just waiting to see if she can pounce on your poor friend. I would make sure to let him know not to go to the washroom alone, if I was him."
I think this is the regular for him in terms of how people treat him. He should be fine.
She nods and smiles at that and goes, "Well, I hope you're prepared to support me. I mean, I needed a second, and I figured your magic might come in handy during this entire thing." She smiles at you and goes, "I hope you don't mind."
Of course.
I'm the support caster. Oh, fuck.
Yes, I plan to, see if I can't manage to take over and defeat Bun, as he's been such an angry individual over the years and needs to take a minute, maybe take a breath, relax.
Should we be worried that Regan Sana is here and him and Lord Bun don't exactly,
Oh, I mean, I invited them, so I imagine there'll be a problem. It's kind of to throw him Bun off in his game.
Alright, well, I'm more of a sculptor, but I'll assist how I can.
If
You'll
I had
see.
known that you were competing, I would have offered to bring some good materials.
Helga kind of gives you a deeper, like a harder hug and goes, "You're so sweet! See, he's such a good man, I could just lick him up and I bet he tastes like sugar." Gertrude just kind of smiles and goes, "I appreciate that, James, but I don't think it'll be necessary for what I'm doing."
And what do you plan, if I might ask? Unless that's a secret. Or,
My plan is to make a weapon I've been working on a couple of prototypes for about a year now. I finally gathered the materials. In fact, actually, I'm wearing them as she looks down at her armor. The clear designs of the illithids kind of depicted across it and goes, "I'm pretty sure this platinum metal will gain me the victory, like I'm hoping. It's a metal you can't find anywhere else from what I've been able to look into. I only managed to get lucky by grabbing it off of a poor adventuring group that was going through the Underdark and was planning to sell the poor thing, saying it was useless material. I don't think they realized how much it truly was worth."
Platinum's a very valuable craft material. It's very good, from my understanding.
She nods and smiles and goes, "True, but it's not just that it's good crafting. It's unique in appearance, something that'll give my item a bit more pizzazz that I'll need. This is Bun, after all. He's no slouch. The Granagas are a well-respected clan." As Gertrude looks at you.
James will nod. Yes, they are. I do believe most of them also dabble in crafting, from what I've seen from the other world leader giants. So, I wish you good luck.
She looks at you and smiles and goes, "I don't need luck," as she puts her hand around Cinder and goes, "I have exactly what I needed."
Oh god, I'm a secret weapon.
grow twice.
Oh god.
But hey, if we put them on the throne, we have a friend on the throne now.
Yeah. I can really back somebody I can really start backing a small country for defense.
I didn't know Regan, well, I suppose he doesn't go by the title. I didn't know Bun was much of a craftsman. I thought he was more known for his archery.
He is, by all means, one of the top crafters in our country. Or so that is what many have stated. And that is who I was told that I would be going against, though we'll see if that turns out to be the case.
Isn't there supposed to be another two rune? I'm forgetting the second part of that word.
Rinstar?
Rune stars.
She kind of looks at you and goes, "Yes, there are, in fact, 7 that are challenging in this situation, I imagine, and you're going to meet many of them. You'll see once we get there." She looks out and sees the castle kind of in the close distance and goes, "We'll get a round of introductions as we get set up, and then I'll be going off to get my forge set up." And that's where she smiles down at Cinder and goes, "This one will come in great handy. That crazy look in his eye is exactly what we need."
Put your crazy in the sword or weapon or whatever.
She looks down at Cinder and goes, "You can definitely put your crazy in my sheath anytime." And James, suddenly over here looking like he's going to be eaten, suddenly feels less weird than as he looks over at what Cinder's having to deal with.
You know what? Becoming a stepdad might not be so bad.
This is like the Ed and Nettie dealing with the Canker sisters, I'm not gonna lie.
Difference is Cinder doesn't care about marrying if it comes with at least some level of benefit. He doesn't mind.
If you're marrying the new world leader, it's going to be very impressive.
You're not wrong. As you lot, though, kind of watch as the carriage pulls up, the doors open and you see as a long purple rug is kind of set out on the muddy cobblestones. Guards and knights in beautiful armor kind of standing in a long row as servants start to usher you lot into the castle keep. What looks to be a massive standing castle of huge marble and stone towers kind of sporting out of the ground. A large central keep that seems to dominate most of it, though it looks to be simple in its design overall. Almost more designed as for practicality over beauty as you lot head in. Though as soon as you step inside, give me a will save, all three of you.
Is this against a spell?
Yes, this is.
Okay.
I have plus 16. If I fail, I'm gonna be very sad. It's a 31.
31.
God, I hope
Using
okay.
Okay.
a moment of perfect minds maneuver to make
Okay.
this a concentration check instead.
Okay.
I might be fucking nuts, but I have a strong mind.
Oh, so doesn't your you have a ring of mind shielding, right?
It works like one. So
Oh,
41.
I rolled bad today.
41.
Fuck.
18. Good news. All three of you fail.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. As you walk into what would normally be, or what you'd expect to be based on the outside, a very crude and simple building with no windows and a very drab and almost kind of gray look to it. As you walk into this, what looks to be a rainbow of color all around, as horns kind of begin to blow as you step in, seeing tables set out, people all around, a floor made of what looks to be a giant gemstone that seems to glitter amongst the light, causing rainbows to kind of sport off. The sounds of the music itself kind of beginning to mellow and cause the lights themselves to dance. Looking through, seeing windows on the other side of it, on the other side of the building, you can see out and see what looks to be the city in all of its beauty as it begins to light up, and these sounds and looks of magic are kind of shot off into the skies around the town to give almost like a fireworks like show. The nobles down below, kind of all many dressed in beautiful attire, some armored, some in nobleman's attire, glimmering as many of them seem to be wearing masks as each of you, or as the three of you walk in alongside your dates and are handed masks of your own. Your group is specifically handed what looks to be a red serpent mask for each of you. As you kind of head in, seeing the other masks, there are groups that seem to kind of sport. Some that look to be like black rabbits, some that are what looks to be a green dog. Another that looks to be a blue tiger that seems to kind of be going about. At the far end, you can see a beautiful almost gemstone throne with a bun sitting in it, drinking from a massive gauntlet made of gemstones that seems to carry a dark red wine, and smiles over at you lot as you kind of start to head down the stairs. The announcement coming overhead that you hear: James of the Ironheart Merchant Company, of the Ironheart clan, Rolaman of the Ironheart clan, Cinder of the Ironheart clan, Gertrude of the Ironheart clan, Sif of the Ironheart clan, Helga of the clan of Carmon.
Okay.
Oh, intriguing.
As you kind of head down, kind of catching that as you hear a couple light claps, music kind of slightly stopping for a moment as the announcement goes on, and then it continuing back up as waiters go about handing you a couple of glasses of wine. Gertrude kind of smiles at you, Thury, as her sisters kind of keep to your sides, and as Gertrude leads you over to one of the clear tables and begins to point out the different members. And we're going to take a quick second because someone's calling me on my phone, and this is the second time that they have. I'm going to take a moment. We'll be right back. So, players, you have a quick minute break. As you lot find yourselves to a small table, kind of off in the corner, almost immediately as you sit down, an almost unseen servant seems to appear in front of you. That is, of course, hyperbole, I guess, in that sense, as the idea of an unseen servant appearing. But to say a tray suddenly appears in front of you, kind of understanding that there is an unseen servant as it sets down a couple of glasses of wine, as well as what looks to be a platter of small eggs, or like half-boiled eggs. Now, I say small, I do mean literally the size small. So these are pretty big, almost the size of a full dining plate, that look to be whipped up with a orange and yellowish material. As you take a light smell to it, it's slightly spicy, but it smells like creamy egg yolk. As you kind of take a second, for those outside of it, it looks like they are deviled eggs.
Are is all the food in a 5-foot? Hmm. I'm worried about poison.
As you
I'm just
can,
gonna check
huh?
I'm just gonna check my provider, whichever one I because one is gonna feed me for the entire fucking night.
Yeah, as you look down at this thing, like, this is the size of a full steak dinner. You realize, this is
is
a
one egg.
Now they're light in calories. I mean, as far as eggs go, but like 2 of these things, you're gonna be full for the night. Yeah, you're pretty sure.
Were we handed an itinerary or
Uh,
anything like that?
You were not. Gertrude kind of seems to be looking about, kind of looking and noticing people. However, yeah, you were just handed plates with these giant eggs and then what looks to be drinks of what is a red sweet wine, from what you can tell.
Okay. I also look around. Do I see anything that catches my attention with any guests? Like anything that might be from Red Hand or Bottle?
Give me a search check.
Okay.
I will say, while you do that in the background, you all do notice behind the gemstone throne looks to be a large staff that seems to have a glowing red gemstone that is not hiding. It doesn't take much for those of the magic users, as well as Roloman, who has at least enough experience now dealing with magic users amongst his party, to recognize that's probably the item that is giving off the massive illusion spell going on around you. As you look around, seeing this glimmering, beautiful ballroom that does not make any sense for the exterior of the building.
Not unless this castle is carved out of a geode.
Well, also, there's no windows anywhere on the castle from the outside. As you look
That
in
is
here,
also-
there are windows that are letting you see out. So, with a 19, Roman, as you look around, the waiters, many of them seem to be what looks to be, as you notice, crystal giants, and they seem to all be wearing marks of slavery that kind of catches your attention almost immediately, having tattoos of chains on their neck, which is a common mark amongst giant nations that are outside of the frost giant territories for slaves. Frost giants not being big on tattooing due to Utham's views on medicine and all that. So, with that in mind, kind of catching that. Beyond that, the only other thing that catches your attention is there is two unique individuals physically that kind of stick out. While there's a couple of figures amongst the crowd that kind of look overall to be somewhat a little bit intimidating. I mean, they could be a minor noble, they could be a bodyguard. It's too hard to tell. They don't look to be too descriptive enough to make it worth your attention, but one kind of catches your attention, a 10-foot stone giant that looks to be wearing basically, sorry, I'm just reading my own description here. Or having a large, solid beard made of ice, and his skin being a grayish blue coloration. His armor a slightly ornate mithril plate and chain mix, and he on his hip looks to be 2 daggers made of star metal. That almost they're only recognizing the star metal as it is a blackened metal that looks that you've I believe seen because of James.
We've
As
come
James
across
was
it. We
talking
couldn't purchase it.
Yeah, you've seen. Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure you guys came across star metal before, because
Okay.
So yeah, seeing
It was
this
for sale at one place early on.
this dagger is catching that he has 2 of these ornate daggers kind of catches your attention. He also seems to be surrounded by a group of non-stone giants that look to all be wearing similar, very ornate and beautiful armor, as well as a couple of what looks to be unique fellows of what you recognize as probably some minor nobles, seeing a few sigils and markings amongst them that look to be kind of looking to be stone giant like, though it's too hard to tell if these lot are knights or if they look to be higher ranking.
Okay. What masks are they wearing?
They are all wearing a blue dragon mask.
Okay, and that's the standard for the blue.
Yes.
Okay, it's not different anyway. Okay.
And then the last one that catches your attention, or did you have another question? Sorry.
Nope.
Okay, perfect. The only other one that you catch is there looks to be an elf person walking around, wearing what looks to be giant or bright red robes, looking to be a little bit taller than you, standing about 11 feet tall, slightly grayish skin that looks to be a hint of red in there. Their ears pointed, their eyes very cat-like and almost brightly green, almost to an emerald-like color. They seem to be not wearing a mask and seem to be walking around with 2 other individuals that look to be of stone giant descent. However, they have large horns sticking out of their heads and seem to be wearing only a kilt and nothing around their chest. Their chests also bearing a strange glowing like forest tattoo all across it. They look to be almost servants or bodyguards to the individual, but none of them seem to be wearing masks at all amongst people as they talk to a group.
I would say a little bit taller. It's quite a lot taller than me.
Oh, I thought you were taller. My apologies.
No, I'm 6 feet tall.
Oh, yeah, she. Okay,
well,
yeah.
6 foot and change.
I will say upon her like what looks to be almost arcane like robes, she seems to bear a mark of a bunch of chains that are slightly cracked and darkened in color, as if they've been burnt.
Okay.
But otherwise, no one else really catches your attention amongst the group specifically, other than, there's a few nondescripts, but again, many of them look like stone giants, so it's hard to really kind of point them out of a crowd, or pick anybody out of a crowd otherwise.
Okay.
But as you three kind of sit there, sorry, go ahead.
I'll dig in.
As you start to kind of dig into the egg, Gertrude leans over towards Cinder and into the table for all of you to kind of hear quietly, and she goes, "So, we've got the 4 here that you need to know about. Bun, of course, as you already know him," as she points her chin lightly over towards the chair, as Bun seems to be kind of leaning over, almost 1 foot kind of propped up onto the throne, kind of leaning on his side as his elbow supports his weight. He seems to be glaring over at a table Gertrude kind of points her chin towards next and says, "That would be Sunna, the fire giant there that you see." As you look on, seeing Sunna, looks to be this almost large fire giant, a long red bright beard, long bright red hair that kind of sticks out, his skin looking almost like molten lava, little scars almost all across his body that seem to kind of brighten in coloration comparatively. He kind of seems to smile, his mouth even glowing slightly as it does. The armor on him looks to be an ornate obsidian of some sort, as he also on his back looks to have multiple javelins and a few what looks to be throwing axes that all look to be made of either adamantine or mithril.
Okay.
You do not see his greatsword, I will mention. Yes, go ahead.
That's what I was about to say. I narrow my eyes because I don't see his actual weapons.
Yep.
His real weapon isn't here. This is concerning.
He comes with these.
Yeah, sitting across from him, you see a translucent skinned, almost 8 foot or 10 foot tall, what looks to be crystal giant, kind of sitting there, smiling as his green skin almost seems to glimmer amongst the lights. His emerald eyes sparkling as they do. He seems to smile as his staff that seem to have large skulls on it seems to jingle as you look at these skulls, fully embalmed in what look to be gemstones to preserve them. But as you look on, there's one that looks like a great worm dragon skull that has been shrunk down for size. What you realize as the core of an ancient ooze that is basically almost 1 step below a philosopher's stone. And the last one looks to be some sort of ancient fish-looking creature that looks like its skull could have easily cracked through or torn through a kraken's body without issue. As he seems to sit there with his staff leaned up against the table, smiling and eating what looks to be a really bright salad. As the group seems to as the two seem to sit there and seem to be making casual conversation, Bun looks to be glaring at them with a bit of disdain and anger in his eyes, but doesn't seem to be moving as he continues to drink from his glass. Gertrude then kind of leans her chin over towards the southern corner of the room and goes, "The real power, though, is what is over there." She points her chin, and you see what looks to be a short and stubby storm giant with a big golden crown on his head and the most ornate and gaudy golden armor one could make. The words Endrick displayed going down the breastplate in gemstones to make them glitter, as well as the word king beside it. Seems to glitter as he stares at his son from across the room and smiles as he seems to cheer him on with his mug.
James is seeing all these people in armor and thinking, I'm really underdressed.
Dude, Cinder's mouth fully forms a distraught frown at Endrick. If this doesn't end in a fight, I don't know what will.
Gertrude Calden looks over and goes, and then we've got the 4 factions of the town, which it looks like your friend Roloman already found one of them. That's Ogren Icebane of the Exiled. She points over towards the blue dragon's masked individual. It looks to be the shorter stone giant with his bluish gray skin or grayish blue skin and his beard made of ice. She kind of looks over and goes, "The other ones you need to know are, well, the militarists are led by 2 factions in here. The Rinstar Rugnir. He's known as Hammer's Oat, pretty well-known individual." She points over towards an elder stone giant who seems to be standing amongst a group of black dog masks people. He looks to be quite wide, a large battle axe on his back, but looks to be wearing a very common nobleman's attire, some very bright silks that seem to flow on him, some gemstone rings, and some what looks to be a grandfather clock kind of like strapped to a very hefty chain around his wrist. As he seems to be talking to a couple of other giants that seem to be all in heavy, dark black armor, kind of standing around him. She points over towards this skinny-looking and very young-looking female giantess and goes, "That would be Bjarga. That is the Shaker of Storms. She's kind of not really well known around here, but she managed to get, during the last raid, slay over 40 storm giants that were calling themselves the Warblades Chosen. Beautiful, but her shaved head and ugly scars just really shows you what she's really known for." She points out she seems to be wearing a very beautiful set of fine leather armor.
And what mask were they wearing?
They are wearing what looks to be a yellow monkey. Yes, there are multiple factions amongst this. And the last one that Gertrude kind of points out, and she goes, "There's the merchants." And as you see the bee mask, it doesn't take you much to realize who that is. As she goes, "That would be Mr. Brightbee. He recently came into power about, 3-4 days ago, popped into town, and then actually about the same day I met you all, and started buying up merchant companies and basically set himself up real nice."
He's was banished from his homeland.
I don't know about that, but I do know that he is an interesting individual. He's got a lot of money to spare and just came through buying up anybody who had a debt. He's also working really heavily handed with the the black market, from my understanding. So, but he specializes in now is the monopoly of all rare goods and unique materials coming out of the Underdark. So,
He used to do the same over at Knighton.
he's a plague around here. She spits on the ground, and suddenly, immediately, as you see the spit disappear, as it's cleaned up from an unseen servant.
Yep.
Gertrude kind of smiles and looks back over though and leans back as she takes a fork and a knife and goes to work on the egg and goes, "But that is pretty much the major who's who amongst the group. The celebrations will happen later tonight around midnight for the competition, and our expectation is it'll go into the next day, maybe next 3 days, maybe the rest of the month, maybe the rest of the year for all I know." She looks at you lot and goes, "But if you lot want to kind of go and mingle a little bit, I would plan to get myself ready and prepared. I'm going to go speak with Bun really quickly and introduce myself once more, as it's been a while since I saw his mother."
All right.
Would
Thanks
you
for
like
the information?
She looks at you and looks over at Cinder as you say it, goes, "Would you like an introduction?"
Sure. I'll come with you.
She holds her arms out and smiles at that and goes, "I expected you to."
Yeah, I'll take her on.
She looks to James and James and Rollman rather, and goes, "What about you two? Are you gonna stay here with Helga and Sif, or are you planning to go?"
And behest of me to leave my date. but I probably shouldn't at least give my greetings.
Helga runs a finger down your spine. You can feel the butter knife in her hand.
As James will stand up and get ready to walk up too.
Helga smiles, and you hear behind you as you look back, she gives a slight biting sound or biting motion as she smiles at you with a look in her eyes that makes you feel like you're looking at an apex monster, James.
I face down at the scariest apex monster in the world. I'll be fine. City of Gold. I escaped.
Exactly.
Shiny Rock worked then. It might work now.
What was that, Rollman?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'll look to Sif. You want to meet one?
Sif smiles and goes, "What do you mean? I was one of Bun's playmates when he was a young man."
Ah, you're very well acquainted then.
Well, quite. His mother is a part of our clan, actually, technically.
Interesting. I'd love to meet them then.
Well, his mother is no longer with us, unfortunately, but I would be happy to take you home and introduce you to them.
We'll save that discussion for later.
She looks at you and smiles and whispers into your ear, Rollman. She goes, "You know, my name means wife and bride and giant."
I assume I knew that, since I know giant.
Yes, you did.
I am aware.
Do I know what Helga translates to in giant, since I know giant as well?
Yes, it means sacred and, well, the other word is, not kind.
Oh. Oh no.
Clothless warrior, or warrior who is brave to wear no clothes, is another translation.
Nudist, understood.
Sacred is the first part, though, so it's a holy. It's technically a holy name. It is technically the same name as a general
Holy nudist.
Sacred naked warrior.
As Helga kind of stays sitting there working away at her egg, Gertrude leads the way as Sif kind of follows after Rollman sweetly. Gertrude kind of walking you a lot over. Immediately as she seems to stand up and starts to guide you a lot towards, Bun seems to look over, and for a moment a bit of bemusement on his face as he looks like he's about to just send you away, and then look over, immediately locking eyes with Cinder. He seems to kind of raise an eyebrow and then kind of smile and go, as you lot walk up. Gertrude looks over at Bun and goes, "This is the Ironheart Merchant Company, and Ironheart Merchant Company, this is Bun. He doesn't prefer king or ruler or anything else, just Bun. His mother was a kind woman. He is a man-whore with no manners and thinks himself the kindest individual in the world while he's got a stick up his ass," as you see Bun just glaring at her. Bun just looks over at you lot as he takes a breath and goes, in Carmon, goes, "I don't think that's an appropriate term for your ruler." And Gertrude just kind of gives him a glare and then goes, "But as my cousin and one who probably has caused me more issues than was worth, fine. Yes, I am Bun. No, I do not have a stick up my ass. The stick is behind me. That's what that thing that's glowing," as he holds his hand out towards Cinder.
I'll take the 10.
"I take it you're James of the Ironheart Merchant Company."
I kind of chuckle. I'm his uncle. That's James.
As I'll put my hand out.
You'll have to excuse me. I'm not very, no, I don't know much about your kind as far as it goes. No offense, but you all really look the same to me. As he holds his hand up, shakes it.
No,
James
I get
shakes
it.
hand. Apology accepted.
He looks at you lot and goes, "So,
I have no stand.
what can I do you lot for? Are you here to piss on my ball as well, like my father and my uncles and brother? Or, let me guess, you're not here to tell me that Utham's on his way as well."
From my understanding, no, he's not leaving.
Oh, thank the gods if that pompous asshole decided to get off his throne for 5 minutes and deal with the world, maybe we'd stop getting god invasions. Keeps attracting the easiest situations to himself, and then goes around whining about it like the rest of us don't have problems. I mean, God, at least he's not surrounded by fucking dragons. Goddamn bastard. He's too good for his own shoes. Garrett just looks at you and goes, well, at least he's not on his way, so... But what can I do you heroes of my dear uncle's lands for?
It's just a pleasure to meet you, and we figured we should introduce ourselves since we were invited to the party by your cousin.
Kind of gives her a bit of a glare and then looks down at you again and goes, well, enjoy the food, enjoy the drink. Oh, and my advice, avoid Ball. She is a talker.
James will nod.
And who would that be?
He points over to the elven woman that's standing with her two horned giant bodyguards. And he goes, that woman, she's almost as bad as my kid. As he gives a glare over towards Sunda, who gives a deep smile and raises a glass, and he continues and goes, I swear I'm gonna kill that man.
James, understanding family troubles, is not going to comment.
But the pleasure's mine. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the drink. And if you have any questions or requests, feel free to come through. I must ask, James, as I know you're an accredited craftsman yourself, are you planning to join us in the Rinstar?
It is not my intention to.
I understand. I was hoping you would. I was looking forward to some... He kind of like lightly cracks his fingers after setting his glass down. Some proper competition. Maybe a foreigner can actually give me a concern for my abilities.
That is high praise, Bun.
That is exquisite praise coming from you.
Well, if you're half the craftsman that my uncle thinks you are, and he manages to make items that still redefine the concept of magic development, I think that you're going to be a great chance and challenge for me. I don't expect you to win, but I promise I wouldn't sacrifice you as an outsider. That would be unfair and uncouth of me.
Well, my greatest craft is not on my person. I
see that.
regret to say.
Why are you dressed so commonly?
I didn't know whether my armor would be appropriate. I can put it on instantly if it would be appropriate.
Do you have some...
Probably,
Oh.
not proper for us to steal the spotlight from the stars of this gathering.
It's fair. If you broke out something like Dracofax, that would be quite a problem, I imagine, among some of these courtiers. They'd all want to challenge at you, and then I wouldn't be king anymore, truly. James, would you like to be king? So he completely cuts you off, ignoring you. No?
No.
You sure?
Not particularly.
I would love to give up the throne at this point. It'd be and I'd have every excuse to kill you, son. As he says a little louder, and Sunda seems to give a smile at him. Bastards make me sit here and play the kind king and all that. But
Still respects the openness of threatening his second uncle.
It seems like they're taking it in good ways, though.
But enjoy the drink, enjoy the food while you're here, and feel free to come by if you have questions. Otherwise, we'll be continuing these celebrations into the full week, so take it slow with what you drink. You'll be here for a few days.
Who wants to tell them?
Sadly, we must leave before the party seems to be over then.
Nods at that and goes, really?
Not knowing how long it was to be, we have other engagements elsewhere on the continent, sadly.
He nods and goes, nothing sad about it, I understand. If I may, it takes a second and goes, I would recommend to keep yourself out of the dragon territories. And Smovasi's announced his child being born. There's been a lot of strange dragons coming near our territories, scouting parties seemingly of all sorts. I would keep yourself well aware of what's around right now.
James will nod. I plan to. Luckily, I don't believe our path will be going across the dragon territories currently.
He nods and goes, Well, if that's the case, then I wish you the best in whatever you plan to do. Yeah. Takes a second, smiles, and goes, and to you, Cinder, I want to let you know, I'm not the jealous cousin type, but if I see you trying to make any sort of nasty moves in front of me, well, I hear that the King Zebril has been looking for someone to put these things called lyrium balls on, and I imagine he'd pay a high price to find someone.
Oh, I know Lord Zeppel.
What?
Yes, he's a customer.
Oh, kind fella. Hired me for a job before.
Kind of looks at you. There's suddenly a slight change in his look.
I just struggle a
You're
little
just
bit.
like, oh, that's a customer.
As he kind of takes a second and goes, I'll keep that in mind as he smiles.
Fucking.
Cinder's not worried. Every move that's been made has not been Cinder in this partnership.
Mm-hmm. And every time it's just been an offer and either a decline or acceptance from James for purchasing product. It's literally transactional.
He Bun kind of smiles at that and goes, well, and personally, I think you should all go involve yourselves with Ball and make sure that they hear every bit about your story. That'd give them quite an annoyance, and I would love to watch that.
Another associate warned us of Ball beforehand, so...
They are a dread on conversation, all about trying to join up with this holy quest to stop the world from destroying itself, and yada yada, as he holds his hand out in a Muppet talking motion.
Yeah.
They all say the same thing as he just smiles at that.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Ball. Or Bud.
Bun, yeah, looks
Bun.
at you. Yes, you too, as he nods. As he does, smiling at you, immediately, Gertrude kind of looks at you lot and whispers down into your ear, Cinder, I need to step away to go take care of, gathering some materials. I've just been sent a sending that something's gone wrong with what I was looking for. I will be back in a moment as she steps away.
Please, I hope she asks me if she needs materials. I have enough materials.
James, you're okay. This is not your spotlight.
This is in his thought.
Nothing to do with you.
We're leaving after a day. You know, nothing can go wrong in a single day of the a week long.
Oh, a lot of things can go wrong. You saying that is gonna fuck us over. Please, no.
Like it already wasn't.
Yeah.
As we will probably head back to our seats. Our table.
Yeah, your table. Yeah, as you turn back, kind of heading over, the kind of Gertrude stepping away, Sif seemingly following after. Helga kind of also gets up and seems to follow after as the three disappear down one of the hallways, leaving you three to kind of return to the table to enjoy your eggs and kind of look about as you do.
Well,
for Cinder and I, literally egg.
Egg.
Like I said, they're big. They're not calorie dense, so.
You guys,
Yeah, but one will fill us.
Want to meet with any?
Yeah,
of the
it's more
others?
stomach size than calorie issue.
True.
As Roland kind of looks at the group amongst the gathering and looking back at you, asking if any of you want to go and meet with anybody.
We could go introduce ourselves to the other world leaders, but I'd rather not, given the circumstances of Bun.
You might not take it very kindly.
Yes.
I'm apparently some kind of secret weapon in a craft game, and I don't want to be messed with and tampered with as I walk around. I'll be here.
I think it's best we wait here and let them approach us, if anything.
Okay.
All right. As you lot kind of decide to chill, taking a minute to watch as the events begin to unfurl. Yes?
I will be keeping an eye on Brightbee,
Okay.
debating on whether or not I should warn Bun that he likes to build monopolies horribly and will
He already
be
knows.
draining money.
He already did it in a few days he was here.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to bust a fucking monopoly in a place, god damn it.
Yeah, you are. Give me a minute. I'm just fixing something on my end. All right. As the time goes on, though, as you guys sit there, is there anybody you would like to meet or visit with that you see amongst the crowd? Do you need me to read off that list of the members, or do you need a minute to think as you all sit at the table, kind of chewing on your egg?
Okay, let's checklist this. It's not worth talking to Endrick because it's Endrick. His personality is enough to
Put us off.
I mean, as you look over and see the gemstones like glimmering and like showing it, like almost like a flashing light or a flashing light sign, with like each letter lighting up as it goes to really emphasize who he is.
Endrick.
Yeah.
Fucking, he's a New Vegas signpost.
associate with Endrick is basically
Death.
well, no, it's basically a negative association with 3 other world leaders that don't
Not
like
touching
Endrick.
that.
Son is nice. You could talk to. He's known as like the People's King.
Yeah, but with where we're at, it feels like I'd possibly get killed.
Not go more like Bun might not like it very much, and very very openly say that to anyone.
Yeah.
I think it depends how long you talk to him. Because if it's just a greeting, I don't think Bun's gonna care. Because that's etiquette.
Nor does Bun care what you're doing. Because you're not a big enough active individual in this game as it looks like yet.
Well,
However-
with the reveal of us knowing Zerbo, Bun might.
Yeah, I was gonna say. However, the fact that you pointed that part out is going to catch people's attention.
So we can probably greet Sana safely. The other parties in this, we don't really need to touch at all. I'm avoiding Brightbee as much as possible because if I get into a conversation with him, I'm gonna end up eating the debt for the thread shop.
I just don't trust Brightbee. I just don't think he's worth talking to in the first place.
What about the other factions, like the Yarga?
They're more likely to try to mess with us for having come with Gertrude.
The other factions I think are mostly fine. I just wouldn't talk to the guy with the title of the Exiled because I doubt he's well liked with a title like that.
I think it might be worth talking to them just because they're the competition. It'd be probably helpful if we told Gertrude what they're doing. Planning on doing anyway, to help modify Gertrude.
If you think that they're going to reveal that to someone obviously wearing the enemy mask, then you can try.
I will note, I mean, as you look around, you could easily take off the mask. It's not like you lot are, stuck to wearing it. There are people amongst the crowd that aren't wearing masks. They're just most of those who are in factions are kind of keeping their masks together.
Mm-hmm. And you can go in with the intention of an interested craftsman as being the Ironheart Merchant Company. And
Yeah, but I have nothing to show my craft currently, unless I take my armor out of the ring.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you're a craftsman who is very interested in looking at other people's crafts just for the
You're
sake
interested
of it.
in what they do.
And also potentially like fake allying with them in the future if they win, as a merchant company.
I will point out to
Of course,
Roland's...
they want to have ties.
To Roland's point as well, James is looking for an artificer. This would be a good place to start.
I mean, yeah, we can go around and I guess meet the factions then.
Should go meet King Hendrik, please. He's so nice. He's such a good.
We're not meeting with King Hendrik. I am skipping that. And I will. If we say anything, it'll be a passing greeting, then moving on.
Do we want to split
immediately.
up and conquer, or just move as a unit?
I'd rather not get stabbed. As I look you dead in the eye.
Okay.
Understandable.
So, all right. Well, or let's go greet Soda first, and then we'll go with the faction leaders that is not the exiled one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is the militarist that, as you were told, is Rinstar Rugnir of Hammer's Oat. There is Bjarga, the female of the who's called the Shaker of Storms, who's also the other militarist. And then there is Brightbee amongst the four.
We're skipping Brightbee as well.
Yeah, so we'll meet Sona, then Grimstar, then Yarga.
Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of start to walk over towards Cinder. Are you
With
joining?
masks off?
Yeah, I assume.
Yeah.
Does Cinder want to
okay.
come with us or no?
Cinder's going to stay at the table, looking out for Gertrude. Should she be come back?
Wait.
Okay. Because I think Cinder stepped away to go do something real quick.
And I think he said he wanted to stay put anyway. He didn't want to get messed with.
He doesn't
Yeah.
want to get messed with and have his magic drained, so he can't help with craft.
Exactly. Roman and James, as you kind of get up, putting your masks down on the table just to set them next to Cinder as he kind of waits there, enjoying his food and watching you lot kind of go on as you would do. Kind of heading over to Sunna's table. Immediately, as soon as you walk over, he seems to look up from his table and the food he's eating, which, as you look down, looks to be some sort of giant tomahawk-like steak made what looks like a pork grill. Looks of some sort of pork or boar. As he smiles at you and goes, I'm gonna guess, let me guess, emissaries to try and convince me to buy up my young nephew's kingdom and not decide to kill him. As he looks over at Bun and then looks back at you lot and gives a wink.
No, nothing like that, King Sunna. Regan Sunna?
Sunna works, don't ever call me a Regan.
Understood. Just offering our greetings as the Ironheart Merchant Company.
I heard you're James of the Ironheart Merchant Company. I gotta be honest, I thought you'd be older and taller.
And sadly, it seems that the collective has overestimated my height.
I heard. I was told you were described as a giant amongst men. Now, he kind of looks down at you and then looks at his knee. I'm happy to see that you are the same size as my young child. I do. Hey, maybe, if you're ever in the territory and once he's a bit older, maybe you can teach him some of the crafts you've managed to master.
I would be honored.
He smiles at that and goes, we'd welcome you. And Rolliman, I'm guessing, please do not ever come to my nation. I do have a daughter. Nothing personal. I've heard the rumors.
You flatter me.
No, I bought one of your gold statues, actually. There's nothing I could want to flatter about that, as I saw.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Not indicative.
I assume that's you, or was that someone else? Because I don't know many famous elves running around the world.
Neither do I.
Nods and goes, someone must hate your guts. I honestly understand. This is something my brother would do to me, I imagine, except he'd probably cut it in half and then make a joke of it. Or make it too long and make a joke of it. God. I feel your pain. But I do appreciate you stopping by. I would love to have you lot come through my territory. I must admit, though, we are in a little bit of a rough situation with the current wars kicking off. Little skirmishes I've started noticing amongst my territory. I expect a major war to pop off here soon, so I'd recommend maybe a bit more of a peaceful time if you're looking, James. Also, being a hero of my brother's court doesn't make you a big fan in my book.
That was purely happenstance, defending ourselves.
Oh, I know. If you think I don't know everything about what my brother does, you're mistaken. Just like I know that the Lithotara thing was totally something he conceived and planned for. He would probably convinced you all that was completely by chance and by this group called the Unfortunate Sons, like the rumors are going. I tell you, he planned it. He adopted the child. He saw it 20 years ago, or hundreds of years ago when he picked up that damn child. He knew this was going to happen. He's been prepping for the damn thing.
My man thinks I'm like a super genius. That
Certainly a theory, sir.
Oh, trust me, I've had my spies confirm. He even killed my best spy. I'm flipping pissed. I can't believe it.
Well, when one finds out they're being spied on, they don't really tend to like that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have, if that was the case, you wouldn't have risen him to his right hand, left hand, whenever he thought it was. Goddamn bastard. It doesn't matter now, though. The days are on. I stopped getting reports months ago, so. Ugh. But I appreciate you. I guess the drink's getting a little to me. Did you have something else you wanted to say amongst, other than introducing yourselves? I mean, like I said, you are welcome amongst my lands anytime. Rolliman, of course, you'll understand if I take a few precautions with your visits.
Of course. I find them unfounded, but it is purely
your reputation, man. You need to. It's nothing personal. I've heard you're quite the capable warrior as well, which is another reason I'm not exactly a fan, because I don't think my guardsmen would be able to take you on. But what I heard what you did to those storm giant raiders that were amongst Lithotara's followers, I had a few men amongst those frost giants that were reporting to me. Respect man who's willing to take charge and charge forward with that. Though, the fact that you can summon an indomitable thing of solid platinum into the sky to shoot down bolts of wood,
boy.
I don't know. That's a skill in its own right.
I will
That-
not confirm those rumors. That is a separate entity that's happened to be there that day. I am not capable of such magic. I am magicless, as you could say.
He nods and goes, "Oh, it wasn't interesting. Oh, well, vague reports and all that. But
Information mishaps.
if you lot do want to come by, feel free to hear." As he digs into the back of his pocket and then pulls out a small gemstone and tosses it over towards you. You see, it is a spell storing gemstone for cantrips. It can store up to a single cantrip in there. As he hands it to you, James, and goes, "A gift in the hope of a happy relationship when you eventually do decide to pick the better brother amongst the giants."
We are honored.
Honored as I will put it away. I did keep a bag of holding on my hips, so useful points today.
Gonna freeze his balls off.
And somewhere in the distance, fucking Utham is sneezing up a storm as if he knows his brother's talking about him.
He knows his brother's talking shit.
All right, off to Grimstone.
Yeah, as we say our farewells to him and thank him one last time.
Yeah, as you kind of lean forward and smile, kind of as you do, he looks at you and nods. Pulpin kind of looks up at you lot and nods as well, continuing to chew on his salad as he does. As you lot kind of head back over towards the table.
Kind of forgot the crystal giant leader was even there because he's kind of.
Pulpin is very quiet as he's just sitting there eating. I mean, he's not really doing anything. Also, as you were when you came up, he wasn't talking earlier either. It was just Sunna talking.
I will give him a proper greeting as well as a quick
nod
greeting
and
as we
sleep.
leave.
Yeah. As you kind of nod and step away, going back to your table, kind of to rejoin for a moment with Cinder. Where do you guys want to head next, or do you want to just stay there and wait with Cinder until Gertrude shows up?
Well, we're gonna go greet the other two of the militaristic.
Okay. As Rollman and James kind of begin to turn, kind of come over to stop by the table, grabbing a couple more bites of the egg, and then begin to head over. As you head over to the militarist, which one are you going towards? The large old giant that you were told was known as Rugnir, Hammer's Oat, or the Shaker of Storms, the female with the bald head?
Can I roll an appraise on them to see which one
Is what?
would have more power in this in this situation?
No, you can give me a knowledge local or a knowledge nobility if you'd like. If you're looking for power as in levels, appraise works. But if you're looking as an influence, no, that's gonna be knowledge based.
Okay, this will be knowledge nobility.
Holy
23
shit, nice.
at 20.
Such crits don't matter. That's still awesome.
Fucking James's nobility shines through.
So Rugnir is a Rinstar, which means he is technically a ranking noble, a minor noble. And him being an older giant, giants are, from your experience, very much based on age and out of respect. Typically, age is first. Bjarga, as you look at her, though, is an extremely capable warrior. It looks like. But she also does not look like she is looking over towards you, lot. You kind of take a moment thinking about with her being younger, even though was, as you met her, noted to have killed 40 storm giant raiders. There's no way she's been around a long time as you compare to the elder stone giant. So kind of taking a moment, you realize Rugnir is probably your better bet for the more influential one.
We'll greet them both, but we'll start with Rugnir then.
Oh. Yeah, as you kind of head over, a couple of what looks to be stone giants drinking and enjoying themselves as they sit around. Their masks now set on the table as they seem to be laughing. Rugnir, his long grizzled beard kind of seems to be filled with bones and other such bits of twig and other things in it. He immediately, as you get about within 10 feet, you can smell the scent of rotten cheese and the scent of old sweat. This man did not clean up, and the booze isn't doing him any favors.
Be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. Don't cast a spell on the man.
As you
God
walk
fucking
over
damn
to
it.
the table, you see there heavy things of what looks to be long wood or big wooden jugs, kind of in their hands. One of them setting it down. Immediately, the smell of a thick whiskey and a very cheap whiskey at that kind of catches your nose, James and Rolleman. As Ragnar looks over and smiles, toothy grin. Only 2 teeth left, one kind of slightly hanging out as he does. The immediate smell of rotting cheese and really cheap booze hitting your nostrils as he does it. As he smiles and goes, you must be... I don't have a fucking clue. Who are you?
I am James of the Ironheart Merchant Company, and this is Rollman.
Oh, you're
We're here
that cold merchant who kills dragons. Yeah, you got the brother that went and fucked a giant dragon and then took out like 40 of its scales and turned it into armor.
Cousin.
Sure.
But cold is subjective.
I mean, I don't know what that means, friend, but sure. You want a drink? He kind of like holds out his his big, almost small barrel of whiskey. It's just cheap whiskey. As you see something moving around in it, realizing there is a fish that looks like it is half chewed on, trying to swim for its life.
I'll take you up on
No,
that.
but thank you for the offer.
Was that Roman?
I'll take you up on that.
Roman, you're gonna take as you he kind of smiles and like hands it to you and goes, the skinny one's got some brass between his legs. See if you can. It's a home brew called Fish's Head.
Ah, interesting.
Bonus points if you can get a chunk of the fish out of it.
I see. And where are you from, perhaps? As
Oh.
I take a drink and pray.
Give me a fortitude save. It tastes like the most cheap wood varnish you've ever smelled. This is not.
Man, just drank wild turkey.
Have you ever had to do like wood dyeing and it's not curing but like waterproofing it? The lacquer you put on it?
Staining and sealing?
Staining. That's it. Thank you.
It's been a really long time.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
It smells like really cheap staining or lacquer fluid. Like it's not, and it's strong.
33.
33. You managed to get a sip or a gulp down. It is not pleasant by any means, Rollman. Every bit of the flavor profile is just nothing but cheap wood and dead fish.
Am I able to take a bite of the fish?
Not unless you're pushing your full head into the thing, because this
Nope,
is a
no
barrel
bite.
that's pretty good size. It's about the size of your chest, so.
Okay. No, I'll take
You'd
a
have to
sip.
bob.
Hold the smile.
And not to mention the fish is alive, it's gonna try and dodge.
As you
Yeah,
down it, the taste of fish blood and lacquer kind of in your mouth, kind of swallowing it, trying to keep your smile. I mean, or keep your face neutral. You
As I
managed
asked
to.
my question.
Oh, go ahead. What was your question? Sorry.
And where would you be from, might I ask?
He kind of looks at you and goes. As he sees you swallow and kind of smiles, a wry smile, taking the glass back or the barrel back from you, and goes. I mean, I'm from here mostly. I was born technically down below in the first levels of the Underdark, in the deeper caverns, but my mother's had me as she was fighting off a black drake alongside a couple other people. Why?
I was just curious. That's a hard life.
And I was born hard, I'll die hard, as he smiles and takes a deep drink. Looks over at you, James, and goes, "What about you, youngin? What's you got a perspective on the a mentality of the military? You building up a fortress in the Underdark, or are you one of these pansy asses?" He speaks a little louder, loud enough for Yarga to hear him, as she seems to give a bit of a glare over towards you lot. And he goes, "That believe that we should stay neutral and prepare for some supposed stupid war that's going to come. Like these dragons have any balls to speak of."
Given what I've heard of the skirmishes, it might be best prepared for both eventualities. Something coming from the Underdark isn't entirely impossible, nor is a war with the dragons.
Of course, a lily-livered who can't even hold his drink would say that. What about you, the man with the actual brass? As he looks at Rolleman.
Should always be prepared for anything. That's my motto.
He kind of nods and then goes, you kind of get it. Maybe one day you'll understand, but I mean, it's not like you are the ones who've got that Zebral fella backing them. Already heard some whispers about somebody around here who's brought in some power behind him.
Really?
And that's who we need to bring amongst our numbers. Let Zebral sort this lot out. Watch Bun quake in his little boots.
As I understand it, you will be participating in the event.
Yes, I want a chance to take the king's head myself. Tired of his BS with his brother and want him to move on. It's time to do what needs to be done.
And how do you plan to do it?
He looks at you for a second and smiles and then goes, I have a crown I'm going to craft. That'll make this king realize he can't rule, as he kind of slurs his words a little bit. A crown that'll be so bright that even Sunna himself will pay a hound for it.
A bold statement. Look forward to seeing it. Oh, well, if I can.
He kind of nods at that and smiles and goes, well, the competition starts in the morning from what I've been told. As he kind of like looks about and then looks over at you two again and smiles and goes, but you two should join us in the troop amongst the troop movements. Let's get you a lot fighting down there. I bet you'd do well. I heard the Ironheart merchants managed to take out like 50 of these Hydra creatures. I could use a couple soldiers like you lot.
We tend to stay pretty neutral.
No, I'm not asking you to go take down a nation. I mean, come with us into the Underdark and help us with our expeditions. Chart out some new routes, kill some creatures, make some money. It's good
Perhaps
times.
something can be arranged as a official job.
Sure, but I think you'd do better employed under my unit personally. I think you guys could rise quite highly amongst the nation.
Well, you know, after our foray into the Underdark against those Hydras, we did encounter Oates hounds that seemed to be much larger than usual.
Oh yeah, Roar was telling me about that this afternoon. We had heard all about it. I had sent some some men down there. Well, units of men. As he kind of thinks for a second, takes another drink, and then kind of sets his thing down as he chews on the fish and swallows it whole and goes, Caught one of the poor things. Looks like a couple of these things found some water that's got some glowing bits in it, and I imagine that's probably what's souping them up. We'll deal with it on the morrow. It shouldn't be much of a problem.
Layering in water. Be careful about spellcasters near that.
Oh, sure. Of course, it's gonna be dangerous. I mean, everything's dangerous down there.
Here.
Dropping a magic item into it could cause you to leave the current plane of existence. So
You think the a common soldier can afford a magic item, son? Come on, you gotta stay in touch with your people, merchant. Otherwise, what kind of abilities are you going to be able to produce? You gotta know what the common man wants.
Well, I'm more of a specialist for crafting arms and armor.
Too good for the common man. You know, I grew up as a peasant myself. I rose through the ranks of the military to get here. As he kind of like looks at James and starts to protrude his lip. James, you don't need a sense motive to realize this guy is starting to sour on you pretty quickly.
I try to also make home goods as well. I go through what I can to ensure that everyone can afford what I offer.
Oh, the rich type getting richer on the backs of us poor people. No.
No, unlike certain merchants, I don't see that. See things like that.
As you've heard from us, we tend to get our hands dirty in acquiring materials.
I respect that. I've heard the true James, although again, as he looks up James and up and down and goes, I don't think this individual's that. I think he's the stand-in. Don't get me wrong, son. You make a good stand-in. Like, you look the part in every piece. You act the part, but You just don't seem like the guy who supposedly leads an army down to take out hydras, takes out Zill and hordes, manages to wipe out an entire forest, only losing a single member. Like, that's legendary. You'd have to be a god to be able to pull something like that off.
Looks can be
No
deceiving.
god. Merely a mortal.
Looks can be deceiving and gods are immortal. Kind of looks at you both and goes, when I see it, I'll believe it. But
Well, Lithotara died, that means gods are mortal.
though Tara didn't die, I guarantee that Regan Utham fella staged the whole thing.
Sadly, I was there. I witnessed the fight.
You saw it. You saw personally got taken down. Wasn't in some studio with a green screen in the background.
What the hell's a studio and green screen?
What does that
It
mean?
was all fake. Trust me. I've been hearing it from Bun himself. Regan Utham didn't make anything.
I can confirm that Lithotara died as the one who killed them did a job for
Then
us
why are there
afterward.
still Lithotara followers around?
To empower the
I think I
champions?
kicked legs or James's leg.
Wait,
lightly.
what?
Signal to shut the fuck up.
Lightly bumping
no
him.
sense in arguing with the cranky old man. Understood.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you.
It
Good
was
luck
great to
with
meet you.
The competition.
You Rollman, you're always welcome amongst the rank. You come back anytime you're looking for work. I'll have you as my number 2 in a day.
All right. Who's your number 1?
Me.
Ah.
As he
Back
smiles. As he holds out his hand to shake your hand once more.
I'll shake his hand.
He lets you guys kind of go, kind of smiling, goes back to talking to his buddies at the table.
Okay.
As you lot head over, kind of stepping away to head over to Bjarga's table, she seems to give you lot almost a glare immediately as Mr. Brightpea kind of steps up, standing next to her, and smiles at James, giving a light little wave as he does. As you lot kind of walk over, are you still going to head over?
Still gonna greet her.
Alright, so you two kind of start to head that way. Cinder, we're going to jump to you for a minute. As you step out into the hallway of the fortress, stepping out of the illusion, you see as Gertrude is working away at hammering what looks to be a raw section of adamantine ore, as well as a chunk of dark leaf that seems to, or not dark leaf, sorry, iron oak, that seems to be set off to the side and not yet formed in any way. It just looks to be raw material.
Huh? You know, she's alive. It's better than I expected, to be honest.
Her sisters seem to be kind of standing off to the side as they seem to watch her kind of hammering away at the ore, trying to shape it in a certain way.
Well, I'm not going to intrude, but I don't want to go back in there, so...
I'm just going to stand in the doorway of the hallway and like, watch.
I'll get out of the doorway, but yeah, I'm just going to, like, lean against the wall and hang out. Because apparently I'm going to be needed at some point in this crafting process.
As you do, Civ kind of looking over at you, smiles and waves you over almost immediately.
I'll just nod and waddle over.
As you do,
Sure.
Gertrude kind of looks up and seeing you goes, "Oh, perfect. You have druidic abilities. I need you to use your spellcraft and get on the wood over there. I need it shaped into something for me."
Well, you know, that I can do.
Good. I need you to here, and she pulls out a small painting out of her back leather pouch and hands it to you. And you see this beautiful storm giantess. It looks to just be gorgeous in every way. Very strong and fierce, but yet still showing her very softer sides. And as you look on it, she just Gertrude just kind of smiles at you and goes, "If you can make that out of the wood, our deal is taken care of, and it'll set up the ornament for what I wanted to do."
Like, am I just making a fallen statue? Like,
Yep.
is that...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Give me a sculpting plus spellcraft check. They are two separate checks.
Yeah.
You got this, Cinder. You got this.
Oh, they're my two highest skills. I really hope I got this.
You can do it.
You can do it.
There'll be a 43 sculpting.
Well, I didn't expect that fast. Sorry, I didn't catch what you rolled. My pizza guy showed up.
It was a 43 for sculpting.
Holy shit. Okay.
I am a sculptor. I am
Yeah,
here.
you are. What's your spellcraft?
28. Still decent, but not nearly as high as I hoped.
Okay. With aim, between the two, as you begin to shape this, it takes a minute, but the wood seems to respond almost immediately, coming to life and shaping almost like your ice does, manipulating itself to the magic and following the lines. It's almost like an orchestra playing. Everything goes smoothly. It seems to respond, Cinder. It almost feels natural. But as you begin to carve away, it begins to make its form and shape and turn into what looks, as you realize, looks to be Carmon herself.
Okay. I thought this was a fucking, I heard Stormchild. I was like, is that a fucking Erotna Vengi? I was like, oh god. I was concerned. Alright, this is better.
Mm-hmm. As the item begins to take its shape, she begins to kind of separate out the ore, shaping the adamantine, taking chunks out of it that seem to be impure, and setting them off the side as you two begin to work. Sif and Helga kind of watching on, acting as cheerleaders as you begin to craft the item, shape the wood itself. As we jump back over, as this will take about a good 30 or so minutes for Cinder to do, to Rolman and James. As the two of you stand and kind of walk over, Biarga smiles at you a little bit and gives it a little bit of a wicked look, kind of changing her look almost immediately as Mr. Brightbee lightly taps her on the shoulder and smiles and looks over at you lot as you walk over. Biarga kind of waits expectingly looking at you.
Greetings, Biarga. We are the Ironheart Merchant Company. My name is James, and this is Rolman.
She smiles. Mr. Brightbee looks down at you and goes, "You're not going to introduce yourself to me, Mr. James."
Brightbee, I do believe we don't need introductions. We've met before. It is a pleasure to see you again.
It is a pleasure to see you, my friend. Still hiding around and skulking in the background, but managing to get yourself in good company now. Even managing to upgrade to a position like this. Who would have thought you'd end up making it all the way to the ballroom and not dead? I'm so proud.
Sense motive on Brightbee.
Sure. Oh, what are you trying to gather?
Is that a vague threat?
What? What was that, Grumpy?
Is he trying to assassinate him? I'm not hitting at all.
13.
No. 13. That seemed to be a big threat, yo.
Well, I'm perfectly fine. Thank you for your concerns about my health.
He smiles and nods and goes, "Of course. We merchants have such a rough life on the food we eat, the things we drink, the people we pair up with. Speaking of people we pair up with, where's your uncle?"
Busy.
Ah, unfortunate. He's probably going to meet Ball here soon and watch as he gets taken away to some foreign place and assassinated, I imagine. As he kind of laughs at that, Biarga seems to laugh a little nervously at that and kind of staying quiet.
Does she seem scared of Brightbee?
Give me a sense motive. Totally not making you roll extra time so I can get slices of pizza in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Nat 20 plus 7, 27.
Oh.
Oh, wait, that'd be plus 8 because I did have my wisdom go up. Yeah, so it'd be 28. Keep forgetting that.
28. She, and your question is she frightened of Mr. Brightbee?
Yeah.
She does seem to be quite intimidated.
But I'm here to introduce myself to the candidates since I will not be here long, so I'd appreciate some privacy, Brightbee.
He looks at you and goes, "What do you mean? What would my..." He looks over at Biarga, who suddenly switches to a smile and goes, and looks back at you and goes, My presence shouldn't be a problem. I mean, speak as you will. Ignore me on. I just figured I'd stop by and say hello.
Well, you've done that. You've accomplished your goal. A merchant shouldn't dawdle.
But the old and the wise take their time as he smiles and cracks a joint in his back.
That's true. You should probably go find a seat with your other merchants that you have behind you.
Looks at you and tilts his head and goes, "Ah, you want me out of the conversation. I see. You're gonna speak behind my back. I understand. I'll give you a moment to plot. I do apologize. I thought you had a bit more tact or skill at this game. Have a good evening, James." And he looks down at Roman. "I don't remember your name, so the help." And he turns and walks away.
James just stays calm, merchant smile on his face, as he looks at Bjarga and goes, "Apologies for that bit of nastiness. Don't particularly like that man."
She seems to look at you with a little bit of concern in her eyes. Looks back at Mr. Brightby and looks back at you. And goes, "I've fought 40 storm giants. All the warblades accomplished in their own rights. I still wouldn't want to mess with that man."
That's fair, and that's an impressive thing, but I won't be here in town much longer, so... And he's one who likes to build his monopoly.
She nods at that. There, she nods immediately at that and goes, "I'd agree with that. Half of my military weapons and goods are coming through him now. He's only been here for 3 days."
Well, should you need anything that doesn't come from him, I would be happy to craft things for you.
Well, I need common goods for my soldiers. It's already bad enough I've managed to purchase a markup of almost 200%, a bunch of masterwork items for my men. That was expensive as all hell.
Ah.
Interesting. Did you purchase these for more?
Sorry, you caught me in the middle of a bite, Roman.
Yeah, very good.
Roland, what the fuck are you doing?
No,
I'm just curious.
as you mentioned this, she goes, and she kind of nods at that for a moment and goes, "Yes, Roar is a friend of mine. He used to be part of this unit before he retired."
And he would mark you up that much. That seems...
That's pretty normal around these parts. Masterwork weapons haven't been are in high demand right now. That was the cheapest I could get them from him.
Well, then you already have some of our wares, then.
Wait, you guys are the ones who made those items.
Hammer and Forge are two of my employees.
You know, Bun's gonna enslave you or capture you and force you to work for him if he finds out.
I think he'd have more issues with who would come after me, then.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard you're backed by Greg's Martom. Which I must ask, what's a dragon and an Utham hero doing in a land where you're going to be despised for both reasons?
I'm a merchant. I travel, I make coin, and I try to help who I can along the way.
She nods and goes, "Okay. Well, I'd give some advice. Do your research next time. Half the people in here are thinking probably how to kill you. The other people are thinking how to kidnap you. And there's probably 2 or 3 of them are thinking how to kill the elven one, as they're probably expecting him to try to sleep with their wives."
Roland won't go after a taken woman.
Could have fooled me from the stories I've heard.
The stories are highly exaggerated.
I've heard you have such a pronounced member that you could make the gods weep whenever you take your pants off.
I hadn't heard that one before.
That one's new. We should add that one to the book.
I heard the James fella here was so tall he could shoot lightning out of his ass and beams of light from his eyes.
As you see, that's clearly not true.
The tall part, definitely.
I'm quite average height for my people.
Yeah, it sounds like the men, all the men who've been comparing themselves to that elven statue on the market recently.
James is literally literally the average height for a snowbeard.
Yeah.
God damn.
Anyways,
Everyone else knows
you're You're here to compete, yes?
Hmm.
As I understand.
She nods.
What are you thinking of crafting, if I might ask?
Yeah, my specialty is arms and armor. I'm planning to do something along the lines of either a sword or a hammer. I have the materials for it. Well, and if all should go well, I'm expecting to finish around third, maybe first this year. No, Rugnir isn't going to manage to beat me this time. Mostly because he can't cheat this year and doesn't have his gloves this time. I made sure of it. Oh, bastard.
What are these gloves? I've not heard of these before.
They're a prototype to the gauntlets our King Bun wears. Basically, they're quite capable for crafting, but the downside is they tend to sear your hands and cause you to be insatiably needing for alcohol.
Ah.
You're drunk
That explains
24/7.
the lacquer that he's drinking.
Drunker you get, the better you are. As she takes a bite of the egg.
Peter, I don't know how he gets drunk off what he's drinking.
Roman, I will say, you are seeing too.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I rescind that statement.
I said, why you succeeded the save? You still are feeling the effects.
I will use maneuver Ironheart Surge to remove the effect.
Okay.
So now I'm not seeing two anymore. Excuse me, I had to right myself there for a moment.
Roman kind of
And
leaning over
Chasty, you're
slightly
not
and
too far off
standing
with the
himself up.
merchant smile joke there. God damn.
Would you say, Wolf?
I said, Roman kind of like slightly dipping to the side and then standing, righting himself up. No, I'm not drunk.
But-
No, I'm fine.
But should you need anything that we can provide, we would be happy to.
Bjarga nods and goes, well, you could kill, maybe in a future situation. Unless
We
you're
aren't an
here,
assassin guild.
unless you're here to give your influence to what my side is going for, I don't think that you can be of much use to me at this point.
We stand on the neutrality of each side currently.
And you're definitely useless to me as far as it goes.
Currently,
You're,
mayhaps.
from what I've heard before, you're more worried about the dragon skirmishes.
Yes, that is true. The dragons get closer every day. They seem to intercede on our territory as they wish. And Movasi is basically capable of taking on an apex monster by himself. What do you think will happen when he decides? I don't know, I'm hungry and Stone Giant sounds delicious right now. Who's going to stop that?
She's saying a fear that James has had about the snowbeards. James just nods.
One would hope they have
I
allies
see
for
where you're
that
coming from there.
scenario.
She nods at both Roman and James and goes, allies would be helpful. Unfortunately, giants are prideful a lot. And the Grunagas seem to emphasize that. Go on.
There's always non-giant. There's other kinds of people in the world.
Ah, yes, the lesser beings. Yeah.
If you have that thought process.
I say that out of a cultural perspective, not out of a personal perspective. I have no issue with it, but understand that our elders amongst us would look down at that and would curse Bun's rule. And we don't need a rebellion in the middle of being invaded by dragons.
Nasty situation it is.
Truly. A nation on the precipice of war on all fronts and no way to defend itself.
I wish you luck in the competition.
And if you're looking for an interesting design, if you've heard of something called a full blade, it might impress.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll look for something if I can find it. But my plans are something unique of my own creation. I've got a piece of the Golden City's hide amongst my inventory as she smiles.
Impressive.
Yeah,
How did
truly.
you manage that?
Long
Most
story and
managed
a
was with blood.
lot of a dream lily.
I looked around. The most you managed was to draw quite a bit of blood from him, so that is quite impressive.
She kind of goes wide-eyed to that. Wait, are you the lot that's got Zebral's backing?
It was a pleasure meeting you.
It was
Oh, wow.
great pleasure meeting you.
No, please do come
away.
We're walking away.
Mr. Brightby kind of walks over and puts a hand on her shoulder and like gives her a look, and she immediately goes quiet and goes back to sitting down at her table talking amongst her members. As you step away, Mr. Brightby you can feel his eyes on you as you go heading back to the table, not seeing Cinder there. As you look around,
Going to head out to the hallway where we saw them leave towards.
Stay away.
Well, you're not here to say that.
You're not here to say that.
I'll shoot you when you come out of here.
Oh my god.
Fuck it. You won't kill me in one hit. I can do this.
oh wow, we don't know about that yet. As you head over towards the hallway that you had seen Gertrude and her sisters go through, kind of finding the hallway itself, you see as the illusion kind of cuts off almost immediately as you walk out. Cinder kind of standing there, smiling. Cinder, it's been half a day since you last saw James and Roland. As you realize...
That's why the fucking thing lasts so long. I understand now. No, when you say half a day, do you mean like 12 hours?
It's
or
the
6
morning
hours?
the next day.
6 hours.
Okay.
6 hours.
How long was it to us?
To you, it was only a few minutes. You guys have been just kind of walking around, having a couple casual conversations.
Do you guys have a fun day?
What do you mean,
Well,
fun day?
Brightby is here, and I'm almost certain he's going to try to kill me.
What do you mean, Roman? You've been in there for like 6 hours.
Didn't feel that long to me. We had a conversation
Look,
with three
go
individuals.
look at the sky.
Do I see sunset essentially, or is it nighttime out
As
now?
you look outside, you see the sunrise.
Ah. Well, then we'll
I told
probably
you.
be leaving here shortly.
You've been in there for a while.
Gertrude,
Nope.
a little bit of information for you, if you aren't too busy.
She looks over at you, finally finishing the last of her adamantine or separation. A couple of chunks of other metals sitting off to the side as Cinder is looking over this small statue of a storm giantess that he's been manipulating. She looks over at you, though, James, and kind of waits to see what you say.
Militaristic faction, the older stone giant's planning to make a crown, and he's drinking lacquer stuffed with fish heads, so there's that. And the young lady is going to go with a sword or hammer. At least that's what they said. Take it as a grain of salt.
She nods and goes, "Huh. Well, that shouldn't been... I've been lied to. Okay." Gertrude kind of you see Gertrude's wheels turning in her head. And goes, "That makes more sense." That explains
also have-
the materials.
I also have one very odd question. Is it illegal or frowned upon for outside assistance?
Yes and no. It depends on what you mean.
If I were to give you a magical enhancement.
I don't need it. She kind of pulls out of a small bag of holding that suddenly appears on her hip, almost as if it was invisible prior to, as it seems to decloak, and you see her symbol kind of marked on it with the clan of Carmon also written into it. Opening it, she pulls out what looks to be a belt that immediately enhances her crafting ability by +10.
What type of bonus does it give, if I can tell?
It is an enhancement bonus.
I can offer you a further enhancement, as this would be insightful for you.
She kind of contemplates it for a second, looking at you, and goes, "For how long?"
It would be utilized the moment when you needed it most.
Well, I don't know when I'll be up for the competition, but sure, I won't say no.
It'll hold for 7 hours until then. As I pat her and give her divine insight, she has a plus. She has plus 12 insight bonus to any skill check she would like to add it to.
Okay. She kind of looks at you and nods and smiles as a little holy symbol of yours appears on her hand suddenly. Go ahead, Roland.
Can I calculate the conversion of time inside versus outside to see how much time we have left before we need to leave?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me an intelligence check.
Thank you. 20.
As you think for a second, roughly 1 minute equals to an hour on the outside.
Okay. And how much time left outside before we need to leave?
That's up to James.
Oh, for the
It's
I'll
already
probably
day.
be leaving here shortly. That's why I was giving her this.
Yes. We're leaving the next day, correct? How much time is left in today versus and over the night?
ARE is the next day.
Yeah, the sun's
Yeah,
rising.
we're seeing the sunrise, Roland, so we're leaving very soon.
Yeah, it's morning.
I see.
My apologies if that didn't come across.
Yeah, I thought it was like
In
the middle of the night or something.
Yeah, I got you.
No.
I looked to Roland. We should bid adieu to our dates, even though we didn't seem to spend much time with them.
Wait. Are they here?
Yeah, they're standing as I walk over to Helga.
Yeah, as you look down the hallway, I will say Roland kind of seeing Cinder working away, or still standing over his statue. Helga, Sif, and Gertrude are all kind of Sif and Helga kind of standing over what looks Cinder kind of looking at his stuff, looking at what he's crafting, what he's making, while Gertrude seems to be standing beside him, working along the adamantine, kind of finishing it up just a moment ago. As you look down the hallway, the few little slits you can see a little bit of glance of sunlight coming in.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure, as I said to Sif, to meet you.
She smiles and is going to roll a diplomacy check as she says, "It has been a great time to meet my future husband. It's time, and of course you're going to propose now, right?" As she is going to roll. That is a 9. I thought that would roll a little bit more dramatically. Not gonna lie.
You thought that would either be a 20 or a 1.
As she smiles at you, and tries to convince you to try to propose, you feel lightly a tinge, but not enough to at all push you in the interest. Roll them.
Unfortunately, I have to decline. That is not the reason for me being here.
She sighs and then looks over at Gertrude and goes, "Oh, the good ones always die young. I keep telling you," and they never listen. And she sighs. Helga kind of looks over at James and licks her lips eerily and just stares at him like he is a dinner plate.
James will walk over and say, "Anjay, I apologize for not spending more time with you over the evening, although it was a pleasure to meet you, and a pleasure to spend time with you."
Helga kind of holds out her hand and goes, "Oh, would you just give me one last handshake out just to say our parting ways?"
I'm going to go further. I will give her a kiss on the hand.
Oh no.
Gentlemanlike, and a slight bow
Run
as
away.
we go to leave.
James, I need a will save.
Son of a bitch, is this a
I knew
spell?
it.
Yes.
I knew it.
Fuck it. 25.
You do succeed by 1.
This was compulsion, wasn't it?
Don't worry about it. As you kiss her hand, she smiles and you feel a tinge of magic. You're not sure if this is romance or if she just cast a spell on you. Or maybe the god of love cast a spell on you. Is there a god of love as you realize, as you start to contemplate? Then you forget that the magic was there, and then suddenly as you lean back up again and smile at her, she smiles back.
Maybe next time I'm in town, we can go on another brief outing.
And next time I'll make sure that my little dumpling is all wrapped up.
Great. Cinder, are you done with your work?
Seeing this interaction, I just side-eye Gertrude and see if she does anything while I finish up my work.
Gertrude's just working away at her adamantine as she finishes up her stuff.
Because she did basically say before we started that once I was done, I was kind of just free to leave.
You stand there
I don't
kind of
think
awkwardly looking back and waiting to see what she does. She just continues working away at the adamantine.
Yeah, if the statue's done, I'll just like get ready to go with the others.
As we go to leave, I'll pull out a small emblem of the Ironheart Merchant Company and leave it with Gertrude. Should you need anything in any of our other merchant companies pass through, show them this. This should assist you in getting a good purchase.
She looks at it and goes, "Would you mind signing it, you and your compatriots, in case I need to get in contact? It's the easiest way for a sending spell." As Gertrude smiles.
I'll carve. It'd probably be a metal emblem.
Does
Fuck.
Does that reasoning make sense before we commit?
Give me
Yeah,
a
does
sense
that make
motive.
Prosperity.
That doesn't make sense to me whatsoever.
Sending doesn't require that.
Is my sense motive good? That's alright.
I'll sense motive as well. Fucking 20. Why? Where was this sense motive roll?
You need this with that Bella certainly last session.
21.
Okay. And roll them? Are you rolling or no?
Oh, sure. My 5.
As you all three realize, no, there's something else she's doing that doesn't seem to be hostile, but there's something else she seems to be thinking, something a little bit more devious.
Would you like to reveal the real reason that you need our names on this album?
She looks up at you and goes, "Oh, I was going to accredit you if I win, and if I fail, I guess you guys would technically be counted as part of my team, and that would kind of drop James's chance of being a Ren star. But that doesn't matter since he doesn't have an interest."
I say James isn't exactly a giant. I don't think that really matters to him at all.
Is there any harm in this? As I think back to
Would this
everything?
harm us in any way? Should
With
They
that,
lose.
not to your knowledge, if she fails, she could be sacrificed. But unless you're the one
Also-
competing, no.
I just look and I'm just like, my mark's already on the statue.
that is, and the emblem is the mark of my clan and my.
I don't see a reason to not mark the name then. I'll write my name.
Roman writes his name down real quick as best he can. She kind of looks at it, smiles, and looks at James and kind of expectingly and waits.
I'll write James. I won't give my full name, but James, the Ironheart Merchant. We'll go there.
She does. She looks at Cinder and hands it over to him.
I mean, I'll
Okay.
write Cinder, but that's not my real, whatever.
Huh?
Doesn't matter.
She takes it, smiling, and then grabs it and heads off. You watch as she, seemingly excitedly starts rolling the adamantine and the statue back into the room, disappearing as she does, poking her head out one last moment as she smiles at you and goes, "Oh, and by the way, if I win, Cinder, I'll be coming back for you. I'll be taking that hand," as she smiles and gives blows a kiss and then heads into the ball.
Look at you,
I'll
Cinder.
be waiting.
I kind of hope she wins.
Wouldn't mind a
I
wife.
don't- I look at Cinder. Out of all the competitors, she seems to have the stablest head, and that's concerning.
It's just giants in general.
Also, we want to leave because Brightby might have hired assassins. So
That's
Oh, he
true.
absolutely has.
I want to fast walk. I went to the ship.
As you start
I'm gonna put my
finding the exit.
armor back on.
Yeah, turn your arm back on as you guys go find a little servant's exit to poke out of it and escape out of the side door quietly.
Roman's on high alert.
Getting
As the three
getting
of you
back.
head back as quickly as Roman, head on a swivel, Cinder kind of watching on, James armor on, expecting something. You lot
Shield in the hand.
You lot find your way through the servants' quarters, finding the exit and popping out the side of the thing and heading towards the ship. As you run through town at a decent pace, trying to keep up a good jog, but not to look too suspicious. The large crowd kind of keeping you at a decently slow pace. With so much drinking and celebrating, you guys, it takes about another few hours before you get back to the ship. But by the time you do, sun has risen. It's around roughly 8 a.m. As you climb aboard the ship, and much of the crew is already getting themselves kind of up and moving, as many of them had turned in much earlier to after drinking for quite a while. As you lot kind of get yourselves ready, start to pull out the maps and head into the captain's quarters. James, Cinder, Snow, and Rolliman begin to look at over the plans as Melvin kind of floats into the or kind of walks into the room to look over the map with all of you. As Snow lays down and begins to lick their paws, James starts laying out the plans, Rolliman kind of pointing out things on the map as he recognizing problems and potential issues, Cinder daydreaming about a future wife, and Melvin happily holding his bag of coin. We thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next time on the next chapter of the Ironheart Merchant Company.